They're very lucky because the evidence is overwhelming. And Attorney General Barr is a great gentleman. It's a great gentleman. They are very lucky. Now, I can't tell you what's going to happen. I don't know.
I know.
Because I purposely like to stay out of it. You know what? I don't like to get involved. I can if I want, but I don't like to get involved. But I think they've been very, very lucky. Attorney General Barr is a gentleman.
You know, I didn't want to have this kind of thing.
Of course you did.
No, I didn't.
Of course you did.
No, I didn't.
Well, then you brought up a lot of subjects that
Well, I said
were
I'm going to ask
inappropriately
you
brought
tough
up.
questions.
They were inappropriately
But-
brought up right from the beginning. No, your first question was, this is going to be tough questions. Well,
It
when you
is.
set up the interview, your first statement
You're
was,
president. Don't you
Excuse me,
think you
no,
should
no,
be
no.
accountable to the
listen,
American people?
your first statement to me, this is going to be tough questions. Well, I don't mind that. But when you set up the interview, you didn't say that. You said, oh, let's have a lovely interview. And here's what I do say.
So what?
You don't ask Joe Biden. I saw your interview with Joe, the interview with
I
Joe
never
Biden.
did a Joe
It was a
Biden
joke.
interview.
The interview, 60 Minutes. I see Joe Biden giving softball after softball. I've seen all of his interviews. He's never been asked a question that's hard.
Okay, but forget him for a minute.
No, but you
You're
start with
president.
me.
You're president. and-
Excuse me, Leslie, you started with me. Your first statement was, are you ready for tough questions?
I did.
That's no way to talk. No way to talk.
Leslie, one second. This is the first warning. I think we have 5 minutes until we have the vice president step in. Is that about right?
Well, I think we have enough. Really, we have enough of
So I
it.
think we're ready for the vice president now.
I think we have enough of an interview here. Okay, that's enough. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go meet for 2 seconds, okay? Thanks. I'll see you later. Thanks.
I'm leaving. I'm storming out. I'm getting the heck out of here.
We've had enough.
That was definitely not a storm out.
He was like, I see you.
Yeah, he even said, I'll see ya.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
If I was worried about anybody, it was the guy. He said, let me see you for a couple minutes.
Yeah. We need to meet for 2 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wayne Dupree Show. Along with the beautiful Leah Bella. What's up?
Hey, make sure you're sharing tonight. We want to get the word out to everybody, so make sure you're sharing the show.
And on the other side of Leah is the Bishop. Mr.
All the
Brian
way over
Smith.
here on the other side
Brian.
of town. What's going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from our 3 locations. We're not the same place. We're not the same place, but we're here bringing you another presidential debate. The first one.
Train wreck.
The first
Can,
one-
can you say it? I mean, that's what everybody else said it.
The first one was really bad.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, if you like that kind of stuff, there's something wrong with you. For real. You know what I'm saying? There's literally something wrong. You're one of those that was raised in that type of household, and then you just sat there and just
Yeah, that's a little sick.
Dad's home. Mom's home.
get a seat, get a seat.
It's home.
Yeah.
Daddy, mommy said this about you.
Dad, was there supposed to be a plumber here today? There was a
Right.
plumber here today. Was the pool boy supposed to be here?
Oh,
I see the pool boy wiped his leg when he left.
yeah, that's right. The pastor did come over. He spent a whole afternoon, Mama.
Yeah.
They had communion.
I heard her scream, "Praise Jesus." I'm not sure why.
Oh my Lord! Oh,
Let's
no,
move
you
on.
didn't. Oh no, you didn't. Wow.
Dad, why is the rapture happening? Why? Because Monkey said, I'm coming. I'm sorry. Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're live. We're here.
Can you tell?
We're back in junior high.
Yeah.
We're just having fun. That's right. We're turning the corner. We are 12 days, right? Is that
Thank
right, Brian?
God.
We're 12 days?
Yeah.
12 days away from the 2000 presidential election.
From the
And
2000.
And then a couple weeks away from the final tally of the votes. So
Oh my.
Right.
You know, this has been mental abuse. I can't wait till it's over. I'm
Somebody
so
said 10.
thankful this is the last debate.
Are we still doing 10 days? Is there somebody doing 10 days late on the count?
Yeah, North Carolina.
Okay.
13 days. 13 days to North Carolina.
4 states.
Well, I don't know about Pennsylvania now. Somerset County in Pennsylvania just filed a lawsuit against them holding the ballots for 3 days. You have one of the leaders in Somerset along with 3 registered voters. So they just pressed charges.
I was
Follow.
informed by some really high-level intel guys that are watching our show today and said, yes, Amy Coney Barrett, once confirmed on Monday, can review the case and say
I heard that too.
no.
Yeah, I heard that
She
too.
can kick it out.
She can. Yep. As long as somebody files a lawsuit, she can review it once she's on. Yeah, I just found that out too. So there's still hope.
Saying she would. Wouldn't that suck?
I mean, I just don't
But she
understand.
said,
Why
"No,
does there
it
have
should
to be an
stay.
extension?
It should
How
stay.
how stupid are people? You've got 2 weeks. Get your vote in. Why does there have to be an extension?
I'm
Honestly.
voting tomorrow. Tell you the truth. I'm voting
Get your
tomorrow.
vote in.
And it's not because I'm trying to make a statement. It's because I don't want to stand with all those people with COVID.
Those are the ones with COVID. Those ones you want to be around. Those make you healthy, make you strong.
Yeah, then you'll get the antibodies like
Yeah.
us.
All
Just like
COVID.
us.
We don't have any fear anymore.
Nope, no fear. You know, that's funny you say that.
How do you
because-
know that, COVID boy?
Let me tell you.
Woo! You can see it in the eyes. Look at Brian's eyes. You can tell he has.
Hold on, it's coming through the mic to Wayne.
No, it ain't in it.
No, I'll tell you, I was at the store and I didn't have a mask on and whatnot because I don't need one anymore. I'm not sick and I can't give it to anybody. And this lady was walking by. She was staring me down and bawling me, talking to her man. I just wanted to say, hey, I've already had it. What about you?
Sometimes when people walk up to me and they're afraid to be close, I say, it's okay to hug me. I already have the antibody. Then they give me a big hug and it's like they haven't hugged in years because they haven't.
Oh,
So I can give hugs now.
oh. How about that, Wayne?
Nope. Ain't it? I ain't,
Wayne's like, I'm not hugging anything.
I ain't hugging nobody. I'm not even giving y'all a hug.
I can give a virtual hug.
Yeah.
So let's see. What time's this debate start? 9?
50
9 o'clock.
50.
Yeah.
50 minutes.
9 o'clock. There is a mute button. There's 6 segments. The mute button will be active for each candidate while they speak for 2 minutes to answer the question, and then once they're 2 minutes.
I don't see anything wrong with
No, in fact,
But-
it's gonna help. It's gonna help Trump.
Let me go back. Well, I don't know, but okay. Let me go back and about the
Okay.
Gilead Sciences antiviral drug Remdesivir as a treatment for the coronavirus. I still want to see something to come out that says that they aren't using any type of baby fetal parts or anything like that.
Oh, they
Well,
do that?
this is Remdesivir. This isn't Regeneron.
Okay,
This
all
is
right,
just-
all right.
Yeah, this is just Remdesivir, which
right.
is an antiviral drug. But the
Okay,
Regeneron is what you're talking about.
okay. Well, I'm still not using it.
But Regeneron said it's so far away. We don't use that. We don't do that anymore.
Okay. Well, I was reading that the science community was fussing about this one about a week and a half ago.
Remdesivir?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yep.
science fusses
It's-
about a lot of things now, don't they?
Yeah.
There's
the
def-
FDA has now fully approved Gilead's remdesivir for use in the United States. Before, it just had an emergency use authorization. So this is really full official approval of this drug. The trade name for it is Veklury. So we all know it as remdesivir, but it actually does have that trade name. Now, it's particularly interesting that the FDA has given this full approval now, because remember, just last week, we saw from the World Health Organization a trial that really called into question the benefits of remdesivir when given to hospitalized COVID-19 patients. So that kicked off something of a debate in the medical community. Clearly, the FDA weighing in here saying that the data it saw to support emergency use authorization and other data generated is strong enough to support full approval of this drug. And now you're seeing Gilead's stock up there more than 4% on this news, guys.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.
You're not welcome.
Shepard.
So with I mean,
I was surprised.
President Trump's he said that they would have a vaccine for the end of the year, and boom, there it is.
Well, remdesivir is an antiviral that they said did not affect the outcome for survival rates. That is what they were speaking about in that clip there, that just a few weeks ago that came out. But now the CDC is saying that it is appropriate to use. So again, fog of war, we're getting two totally different answers on a medicine, which will divide the country into, is remdesivir a good viral drug or not? And they're forcing us again to go out on a limb and figure it out for ourselves and to make our own choice instead of giving us a clear-cut answer.
To take something that may or may not help you on a 99.9% survival rate. I'm done with COVID. I am so done. Oh, what about that? What about that thing we saw? Yeah, what about that study we saw?
You keep saying
You
keep saying it's man, I really don't want to do this, but you keep saying it's a 99% whatever, but you don't talk about what's happening in the minority communities.
I don't know. I don't live there.
But I sent you everything of what was happening, and you still.
The problem is, okay, brother. All right, the problem is that I see is that they are not polling or testing or showing the numbers on poor white people.
What?
Poor white people versus poor black people. Show me the difference.
No. It doesn't have nothing to say about poor.
Just for our listeners, Wayne, tell them what it does say, because I think people would be able to understand a little bit more what you guys are disagreeing about if you tell them why it affects the black community more. What did it say? Do you remember?
Maybe I misunderstood that.
Yeah, because Wayne brings up a good point.
The numbers showed that the COVID situation, or the COVID whatever you call it, disease, is hitting the minorities in a bigger clip than those that are white.
Okay. I looked it up.
Wait, but here's why.
We're not talking about poor black. We're not talking about rich black. Just minorities, including Latinos and what's going on, because of the environment that they live in, and
their work status,
non-access to great health, or they're on the front lines of the virus, of like the healthcare workers and this and that. So it's hitting minorities a whole lot harder.
They're not white people on the front line.
Media is really not talking about it like that, but the numbers are out there. And I sent that to Brian. Well, I sent that to the whole group actually, and it explained that the doctors and the scientists were talking about why, and it didn't have anything to do with obesity. It didn't have anything to do with the genetic makeup. It had everything to do with those things that I just told you.
There is something else that they missed.
All right, Doc, go ahead.
Well, I looked it up. I mean, I looked it up.
Well, I mean, anybody. Go ahead.
There's something that I feel that they missed. The darker the skin of a human being,
the less
more
vitamin
melanin,
D.
the higher the melanin content
Melatonin
content you have,
Mm-hmm.
the less
Vitamin
ability,
D gets absorbed.
vitamin D is absorbed into the skin.
That
And
is
when
correct.
they were saying when they're admitting people that the first thing that they saw that people were highly deficient in vitamin D is they brought them right in with COVID.
Yes.
Well, that
That
is something that my son has said, or that's something that my son has told me, but it's still happening. It's still happening.
It is. And what needs to happen is they need to go into the Black communities and say, honestly, get your vitamin D. That is the most important thing right now, because they can't change where they live. They can't change their access to health right now, and they can't change where they work. So the best defense that they can do is honestly take 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C, and higher than that levels of vitamin D. Really, you can. I mean, it's okay to do. You can't really overdose on it, but that's really what should be said, and it's not being said.
Right, and for those that are out there that are dismissing this, I listen to the radio a whole lot more than I watch TV now, and there are commercials on there right now begging Black people to join these trials, and they're basically saying you have to join, and you can be seen as a hero for joining these vaccine trials. There are no side effects. That's what they say. That's what they're saying. There are no side effects. You can be a hero, join the vaccine, but you don't hear that on regular stations. You don't hear that. You don't hear that on a Rush Limbaugh station.
Well,
the Sean Hannity
because
show.
they know the majority of the Black community is listening to urban radio instead of Sean Hannity. That's probably why, but it still doesn't make it right. It shouldn't be viewed that way, even though they do need people in the Black community to take the vaccine to see if it does react differently in them.
That's true.
But
that is true.
And that is the only way that we can tell. So in retrospect, yeah, they could be saving more lives if they would take it, but to try to force them to do it and manipulate them into thinking that there aren't any side effects, every drug has side effects. So that is an unfair statement.
Didn't we just lose a patient that was...
Yeah, a 15-year-old in Brazil.
Yeah, that they got the vaccine. No good.
Which we don't know the whole story on it yet, so that's why I didn't really say anything just yet.
For those that feel that you are wasting your time watching, please let us know. Please let us know. And we have a very particular island that we can send you to. And we'll be doing that all night long. So, I mean, if you're wasting your time, please don't hold back.
It's just important conversations to have, that's for sure.
Yeah,
so they're saying, did you hear what percent of undecided voters will be tuning in tonight?
No.
That's got to be low.
There's still 4% of undecided voters and 4% that have decided but still feel like their vote can be swayed. So they were asked, what do you want to hear about the most? And they said, we want questions answered, and you'll be surprised. You know who they said by who? Joe Biden.
Yeah.
They're not worried about Joe. They want to know.
If that's the case, if they're looking for him to answer questions, then they are trying to figure out a reason why to vote for him. If
Go
ahead.
They want to know, number one, if he's going to stack the court.
Yeah.
They want to know if their taxes are going to be raised, if gas is going to go from $2.50 a gallon to $4 a gallon.
Right.
And then most importantly, they want to know what his actual plan is for COVID-19. A lot of them that were interviewed said, hey, we know what Trump's doing because we're living it. And actually, we're still alive. So surprise there. So, something's successful here. We know his plan. But we actually don't know what your plan is, Joe. What is your plan for COVID-19? And the answer that Joe keeps giving is mandatory masks and more testing. Okay, well, nobody likes mandatory masks. And as for more testing, he's doing the most amount possible right now. So they actually are trying to say, we want more from you, Joe. What is your written plan?
Hey, not only is there testing going on, but I just heard a commercial on local radio today. There's a local church just down the street that's going to be giving out free testing to anybody that lives in this county from like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on this specific day. It's all free. I'm like, wow.
Joe doesn't have a different plan for it. It's the same as Trump's.
And it's so strange that you say that, because when I was watching some of the videos, out there about blacks and the vaccine trials. These companies are going to churches. These companies are going to their to pastors and asking the pastors to ask their members to join the trials. And now there aren't a whole lot of people that are joining, but they're using black pastors now to push those trials to their members. I don't know.
That don't seem right.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. But actually, it looks like the pastors are buying into it, though. They're like, well, because I'm wondering if Radissimir has that 50%, that we were talking about, or 40%, 50% of minority results for whatever they're doing. I don't know anything about it. I really don't. But it's out there now, so. Churches are being used right now. As of tonight, there are at least, it's probably close to 50 million by now Americans that have already voted, surpassing the total number of early 2016 ballots.
Damn, we're 12 days out.
47 million.
Numbers coming in for Florida, it's looking like Republican votes are coming in higher than Democrat votes in Florida.
Yeah, he's going to win Florida.
No, it's just a positive note. I'm just saying.
No, I can believe it. I find it interesting what they're saying about Texas. I really do. I looked into it a little deeper. It's neck and neck right now in Texas, and I get that. But what I think, they're getting people worked up about it because they're saying that Joe could possibly take Texas. And the thing is, we know Democrats are early voters, right?
Right.
So we know that they're coming out right now. But if it's tied now and Democrats are the early voters and Republicans haven't even scratched the surface, what does that tell you about what's going to happen in Texas? And here's another thing. Paris County in Texas came out and voted, but they've also registered like the largest amount in Texas. It's a Republican county.
Oh, there you go. The silent vote that I know for a fact that nobody is able to tally in any of these polls. And when I say the silent vote, when I was here at CVG in the airport, I had my Trump shirt on. I had an elderly black woman walk up to me, just start chit-chatting out of the blue. I didn't get it. I was friendly and nice. Realized we were talking about Trump, and I just didn't get it. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm on my way to see my son. He's up at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Yeah, he's a Republican. We're all voting Trump.
Mm-hmm.
My husband Trump. I don't say a word. I'm not on the Facebooks, the YouTube. I don't talk to nobody about it.
Well, I mean, 56% of people that were asked were told that they are better off today than they were 4 years ago.
Right.
56%. That's over half.
During COVID.
Also, the Washington Post polled Trump voters, and they're more enthusiastic, in fact, twice as enthusiastic this year for voting for Trump than what they were in 2016. That comes from the Washington Post.
I think we know that Trump is going to win on election night. I just worry, or you have to worry about what's going to happen after. That's just me. That's why I continue to say that y'all have to go out and vote in large numbers. It has to be honestly, it really has to be a blowout. It can't be close.
Right.
You can't do it close. You can't.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Honestly, and Leah does a great job with the early numbers, and Brian.
Thank you.
And Brian does a great job with the research and stuff. But you know what?
With
all that,
right,
it still has to be a blowout.
You got to beat the cheat. Got to beat the cheat.
Because what happened last night with the FBI and stuff like that. See, I like to look at things down the middle. And what the FBI did, or what I felt that they, actually, what Radcliffe did was he basically has, in a way, sabotaged the next 4 years. Now, for me, because he basically came out there and said Iran and Russia are trying to do something. Have they done so? I mean, did you stop them early? 47 million people have voted already. Did you stop them early?
Well, they caught Iran.
Okay.
Disinformation with the Proud Boys. I mean,
And yeah, what I mean, and then all of a sudden, well, whatever. Bottom line is, whoever wins is going to be questioned.
oh, they still haven't stopped questioning 2016.
But
no, they
still
haven't.
haven't
won't
accepted
stop.
that he won.
But it won't stop with this one.
I never expected it would. I never expected it would.
Well, you know what? It could have been, but now it's been inflated. It's been inflated because he basically threw those out there. And I don't know whether if y'all were looking at social media last night, but whose name was showing up that nobody was talking about? Even Tucker Carlson got on there and said, yeah, but what about China? Nobody said nothing about them.
No.
Nobody saying nothing about China. Don't y'all find it strange that nobody, I mean,
Because they're all in bed with them.
they already take our intellectual property. They steal whatever we make. And you're trying to tell me they don't have nothing to do with it?
Oh, they're big.
Considering they're the ones who sent over the virus.
Right. There's somebody, and then we also find out that this laptop, whatever situation, there's money laundering for the FBI. Don't y'all find it strange that the FBI came out and did that thing last night, and then Fox News put out the story about, well, yeah, guess what? There was a money laundering thing with the FBI.
You didn't know? Yeah.
It's sickening. It's sickening. China's got their hands wrapped around this country, and that's the issue. That is such a big issue. And that's what I'm concerned about when it comes out. Honestly, with this whole Hunter thing, I get it. Before, yeah, it was just about Hunter. But now you have to ask yourself, you know, what information is Joe in this with? Did he have, you know, relationships with shady business deals with China, with other foreign countries? Is he compromised? Is that why? Because I always thought to myself, he never blames China for the virus, and he acts like China is God. And it always made me wonder, Joe, why do you do that?
Because
right.
bread's been buttered.
I said somebody needs to redo the song. You ever hear China Grove? Someone needs to redo the song China Grove and call it China Joe. And it's funny because the first line of that song goes, "In a sleepy little town." And I was like, that's Sleepy Joe.
China Grove.
China Joe. That'd be funny.
And we all know that Biden is going to talk about Trump's China deals tonight. But I just got something about Mitch McConnell that he just got $50 million from that has something to do with China.
Oh, yeah.
For campaign purposes. The China thing is too much.
Right, I gotta stop.
You're trying to tell me that they don't have anything to do with the election?
Yeah,
all about it. And Mitch McConnell right now, the reason why he's probably taking that money is because he's fighting a battle he didn't think he had. In Kentucky, he's fighting a battle he didn't think he had. And so he turned to his wife, Department of Transportation, tapped her dad over in China. I was just, guys, it runs deep. Peter Schweitzer's book, if you haven't read it, y'all, it's been out for 2.5 years. It details all of these people, all of them, Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter who they are, but it details all the crooks that are the elected officials.
And then Joe comes out and makes a statement saying, well, I released my tax returns. You can see I didn't do anything illegal. Like you're really going to have the stuff that China paid you on your tax returns, right? Like you're really going to have that on your tax returns, Joe? Just like how you said you didn't have meetings on your regular scheduled calendar. Like you're really going to put those types of meetings on a calendar?
And then we see a picture of him showing up with Hunter Biden's partner. And that wasn't on the calendar. It wasn't scheduled, but they had the meeting. Just saying.
Again, and tonight I tweeted out a few times, and I know a lot of y'all are into the Hunter Biden story and stuff. Most Americans don't care about it.
Right.
Most Americans want to know about it.
Did you say me too?
Huh?
Did you say me?
What?
Okay, I didn't hear you. My headphones must cut out. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No. Most Americans want to know about the economy because they want to keep Trump, or most feel like they have to keep Trump in office because he's the one that has straightened out what Obama messed up. And it's the truth. That's what he did. He got rid of the Obama regulations and stuff like that, cut them in half, got rid of them, and set everything on the right path. Okay, what Obama should have done, that's what Trump got in there and did on day one. The night or the day of the inauguration, he went into work. All right. He went into work
and he hasn't stopped.
He you know how politicians say, well, on day one, I'm gonna go in through, and then they'll do nothing for the first 100.
Yeah.
Trump went in there first day, signing stuff, showing the thing here. See, there you go. Nancy, stand your ass right there. See, Nancy, sign right here. Sign it. Cut that regulation. That's what Trump did. And now Americans want to know, how is he going to bring us back from the COVID? And if I was President Trump, it's fine. If you want to talk about Hunter, talk about Hunter. But you know what? Don't make that the focus of the whole 90 minutes. Talk about what you want to do with the economy. Talk about the platinum plan of what you want to do for Black America. Talk about the foreign policy of Israel and the Middle East. Talk about those things. Those are great things to bring to the American people, and that's why they want to vote for you. If you stand up there and you start badgering that man about his druggy son and stuff like that,
that's no good.
People out there have family members that are on drugs, that don't know the left from the right, that get in trouble, that spend money up, that don't put their families' houses up for sale, and the family and the home don't even know. It happens.
Right. And remember where those drugs come from. China.
Yeah.
Fentanyl.
They do.
China. You notice every issue that we're having in this country, somehow it gets directly connected back to China. If you don't understand that they are our biggest enemies right now, then you have a major issue. And I think that, Wayne, you're exactly right. I think he needs to go in calm, cool, collective. I think he needs to let Joe talk. And when you think that you should interrupt Joe, don't. Let him keep talking a little bit more. And I think that Trump has to do a better job by showing the contrast between two different worlds that it would be: a Joe Biden world and a Trump world. And when he can show the Trump world what he's done and what he's doing versus what it would be in a Joe Biden world, then I think he's won over those 4% of undecided voters that have not made a decision yet. Because you don't want your gas prices to go up. You don't, you don't want to be in a communist type of country. Let's just go ahead and say it that way.
I don't think he has to mention Hunter. I really don't think he has to do that at all. Not even, guys, I know Wayne and I and Lee, we've been going back and forth on this for a couple of days now. And I'm with you. I got my finger on the pulse on the Hunter. I've read Peter Schweitzer's book. I've got it on audio books. I've listened to it twice. I know the details, the players, the people involved, but that ain't going to win this election.
No.
Him sitting up there talking about Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the Ukraine, and I told him to fire that son of a bitch. I'll be damned. He fired.
Now,
that ain't
and remember,
hold on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, 626. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you? Well, I think that he can do both things, guys. How are you? I think that he can make the case that the country is suffering, well, before COVID, of course, was suffering because all these politicians were selling the American dream out to China. How? Because they were exporting our factories, our jobs to other countries, and at the same time, they were being paid through their family members. That is a way to mention the corruption on the Hunter Biden group that involves Joe Biden. That's the way. Because otherwise, we cannot do two things at a time.
Very well said.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your phone call. Yeah. Go ahead, Brian. or Leah.
Yeah, we look like the same. What I was going to say is no other networks have actually covered this. Volinsky just came out and did a small news conference. No one but Fox News covered it. So I understand if Trump does want to bring awareness to this, because that is fair journalism, there should be light brought to every single subject. They weren't afraid to bring it up whenever there was supposedly a Russian, issue going on with Trump. So this needs to be brought up too. So I understand if he wants to touch base on it, just explain to the American people who have not heard it yet, because they are tuned into only one channel, and then get off of it. Explain it, pique a curiosity, so that way they can start to talk about it and look deeper into it, and then get off of it.
We want to let everybody know that yes, we are doing the pre-debate show, but we also have the debate. We will be showing that. Let's see, where is it at? Right here. There it is, right here. We will be showing the debate tonight.
20 minutes.
There it is.
Yeah.
20 minutes. Wow.
There it is. So yeah, we're gonna have that.
And remember, back in 2016, Hillary's emails were talked about and pretty much exposed, but nothing was set in stone yet, and that did hurt her election. So do I think that this will have an effect on Joe? Yeah, I think it will. We won't know until afterwards how much of an effect, but what happened with Hillary in 2016, it did affect her election. So I think that's also important to note as well.
It's a different situation going on, I think, back then. We knew Comey was the dirty cop. They let her off.
Well, we did, but
She
the
was
American public
unlikable.
didn't.
Well, she was unlikable. Just a lot of things going on. And then
That's
when
same as
Comey
Joe.
came out, no, Comey
You're
came out.
literally explaining Joe.
Hold on. Comey came out and did an entire press conference and did it's like 25, 30 minutes. He was on and on and on. And it was like, oh my God, he's about ready to throw her in prison. And at the very end of his conference, he's like, and as I see it, no reasonable prosecutor could see fit to prosecute this case closed. We lost our minds on that one.
Yeah, we did.
But then when the files from Anthony Weiner showed up and the emails on his laptop, the FBI was forced to make a comment about it. And that's when it happened at last minute. And Comey's like, all right, we looked at it. So there.
Right.
It's over. And I think that hurt more than anything.
Yeah. Let's see. We are still taking phone calls. Let's see. Yeah, there he is. 718-618-4836. 718-618-4836. We want to hear what you think President Trump has to do. Does President Trump even have to win the debate tonight? Does it even matter? Does the debate matter? Do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
Someone had asked in the comments earlier, and I wanted to let you know. They were asking who is in charge of the mute button, and I think that's a very good question. It's not the moderator, and they've not announced where or who this person will be. That to me is some shady. Bleep me out because I want to say a swear word right now.
It's probably somebody in Germany. Some real hardcore.
Maybe someone in China.
Man, you know what? I'm pissed off about China right now.
Don't do it. Come on.
I'm pissed off about China. Because China is getting a pass on what they are doing to the American people. They are screwing over the American people. You remember a couple of months ago, I said when the United States was shut down, China was suffering. China was suffering.
Yeah.
Brought
to their knees.
Right, exactly. And they couldn't wait until the American economy opened back up so that they could move forward. We have got to stop sucking China's teeth and start doing stuff on our own. If you listen to some of those Australian professors out there, some of those Australian professors that put Trump up for a Nobel Peace Prize said he is making America independent on energy. That's something that no other president has done, and he's doing it. And that's what we need. And actually, that's what I think he's trying to do with China. He's trying to pull us back from China because China has been rope-a-doping us for years.
It's been a dream.
And China's tried to use coronavirus as one gigantic mute button for America. What do you think coronavirus was? It was their mute button for us.
Well, and it was the opportunity for Democrats to jump in, all pile in, everybody all in.
You got me pissed off, man.
Who does? China or we do?
You.
Oh,
For-
yeah.
The mute button. Somebody said that Trump's got people sitting next to the mute button person.
That'd be nice.
Whatever.
I'm just joking.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm calling about the debate tonight.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, who do you think is going to win tonight?
Well, actually, let me ask you, who do you think is going to win tonight?
You. I don't know.
Okay, we'll have to gain her. You have to call back. You have to call back and turn down your telephone. Phone number is 718-618-4836. 718-618-4836. Are the debates necessary tonight? Have you made up your? Well, actually, most of you that are probably watching this have already made up your mind. But if you're independent, do you need this debate? Or are you undecided? Are you really undecided that you don't know who now? It's America versus socialism.
Right. Now,
America versus socialism. I
think Biden's the one who has to win tonight. Absolute critical for him to come home with an absolute resounding win.
Okay.
I watched an interview today in Carnegie, Pennsylvania, and a man said, if I have money in my pocket and I'm doing well, that means the entire country's doing well. And when I'm doing well, whoever's in office, that's who I'm going to vote for, right? And he's about, I don't know, he's in his maybe late 50s, early 60s. So then they show a coffee shop owner who is about my age. And she's like, yeah, Trump's money did help me during the coronavirus. Yeah, I was real happy with that. But I'm still going to vote Biden. And the interviewer said, well, why is that? His health coverage. Yep, that's why I'm voting Biden.
There's an educated individual.
It is. There's so much cluelessness
Good God.
under the age of 40 that are pro Biden, and it scares me. And I really wish that hindsight, I guess really 2020 really is hindsight 2020, isn't it? Maybe that's why all this is going on this year. But hindsight now, I wish that I would have started a group for people like 45 and under that are pro Biden that I could have really tried to reach out and just talk to without just saying, this is why you should vote Trump. Because I think that's just insanity, her train of thought.
Oh, it is.
Her coffee shop's going to close under Joe Biden because the taxes will go up so high. So she'll end up losing in the end. But the health coverage is what's keeping her there, which she's going to lose anyways if she loses her business. It makes no sense. I'm sorry.
I can't vote for any Democrats because they are left. My faith will not allow me to do that. They are anti-life. I always want life. I don't want babies to be killed. I love the way my president talked about Jesus last night. That blew my mind. I can't. When he has his rough edges, he's not a perfect man, and I love the way he expresses himself. He doesn't mind words. He says things the way he loves it, and some people don't like that. But he blew my mind last night, and I was weeping like a baby when he said, "Jesus Christ is the boss." Is the boss.
I'll tell you, I cry too. Sometimes I see Trump up there. I do. And I'm not an emotional person. I'm really not. Nothing makes me cry. But when those Trump rallies start and I hear them start chanting USA and he starts talking about how much he loves God, I do. I cry because isn't that a beautiful thing to witness?
It is. And when I saw him do that and turn to the side, he was like, yeah, I got this. Dolores from Texas, you are live. Go ahead.
Hey, just calling to say I enjoy the show, and I'm praying for Trump.
Yeah.
God bless you.
He's going against him. I am praying that he has a great debate and Biden situation get exposed. Because if he do go in, he will be impeached, right?
He could be.
Who?
Joe
Biden.
No.
Wins with all this information going on.
You never know.
It'll get covered up.
The House won't impeach him the House won't impeach him because Democrats lead the House right now. But if Republicans win in 2020, they aren't going to impeach because they don't have the funds.
Nope.
Yeah. But I want to let you know I listen to you guys every day when I get off work at lunchtime around 11 o'clock. And keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
I love
And
her. She's great.
That was one of our loyal listeners from Texas. And Texas, I'll be in South Carolina this weekend. If you're in South Carolina, you got to make your way down to South Carolina.
Charleston?
Yeah, you got to make your way to South Carolina.
What are we doing down there?
Yeah, I didn't even know you were going.
We're going to be speaking.
What event?
We'll talk about that later.
Ah.
To be announced.
Joke went on.
Well, you should have briefed me before the show. You should have given me a heads
Yeah,
up.
you should have did what Trump did. 2 minutes. I need to talk to you for 2 minutes.
Yeah, you did. I didn't pull you aside real quick. 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I like how Leslie said, forget him for a minute. Whenever Trump was talking about Joe Biden. Yeah, that's what you want us to do. Every time you bring up Joe, just forget him for a minute. Oh, I'll tell you what.
Well, you know what? They've always been like that. They've been like that with Obama. Well, he's not in office. But you know what? You're right. And we're glad that he's not in office. But the way that these people have interrupted President Trump, they act like he is not even president of the United States. Nancy Pelosi treats him like he's not president. Chuck Schumer treats him like he's not president. These interviewers treat him with disdain and hatred whenever they and look, I understand why President Trump goes to Twitter, and I understand why he does what he does. I do. I might not like it. I'm not, because there's a piece of me that gets tired of him getting attacked.
Right.
There's a large piece of me that's tired of watching him be attacked by the media, Democrats, Republicans, all these networks, all these organizations and corporations, sports people, online, offline. I'm just sick of it.
Well said.
I'm sick of it, and I know he has to defend himself. I just wish sometimes that he would leave it to his supporters, instead of him going. 214, you are live. Go ahead, 214.
Hi, I'm from Dallas, Texas. I've been listening to you guys. Seem like
Thank you.
You all are Trump supporters, are you?
Yeah. God bless.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, good, cool beans for you guys. I'm in Dallas, and as you know, this is a red state, and we suffer. The rich are rich here in Dallas, but the poor is poor.
Right.
And some of the things Trump believes in, I believe in, but he's a racist, and he's about dividing. And we've been sitting up here. I'm a healthcare provider with no income, and him and Pelosi's ass is sitting up there bull crapping. So, you know something, I know that when Obama was president, if he had a Democrat House, he could have gotten a lot of things passed. So I feel like that this is the time for the Democrats to take over, and let's see what happens.
Quick question, ma'am.
Hold up, Brian. Hold up. Go ahead, finish your statement.
I'm done.
Okay.
We don't need a racist president.
Yeah, quick question. You said Donald Trump's a racist. I just wanted clarification on that. What makes you say that?
You don't see his actions and what he say? You don't.
No, please tell us.
Yeah, let me know. Just tell me one thing. One setup.
Group of Klansmen to step back but be on standby. That's racist.
Wait, well, Joe's the one who said you ain't black, but I don't know anything to do with Trump's ties with the Klansmen. In fact, Joe's the one who spoke at Robert Byrd's funeral, who has ties with the KKK, not Trump.
Wizard.
So could you clarify that?
Well,
yeah.
You all are the media, and I'm sure you know that.
Well,
yeah, I know Joe Biden.
Joe Biden spoke at Robert KKK Byrd's funeral with Barack Obama and the Clintons.
He also calls black people sexual predators, super predators.
Right.
And you ain't black if you vote for him. And talks about kids being in a jungle.
But Trump was hanging
terrible.
out with Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Rosa Parks, and helping the black community. And now, ma'am, I'm just sorry. I don't see what you're saying.
If you could just give us one example, that'd be great.
Is what I'm saying.
Okay, so basically, okay, I've heard you, and I've also listened to my co-host. But basically, you're saying that Trump is racist, but you can't, you really can't come up with anything that he has said or done that is racist. Is that correct?
Everything he's saying do is racist
Okay,
when it
okay,
comes
well,
to black people.
okay. Now, with that said, if everything that he said, then you should be able to give me one thing.
Look what he did when George got killed. What'd he say?
What did he say?
He didn't even want to conduct, condolence to the man's family or nothing. He don't acknowledge black people is hurting and in pain, and he can because he's the president.
Okay. Well, I mean, I thought that he did reach out to the family.
Yeah.
He invited him to the White House.
Actually, I'm sure that he reached out to the family. But you know what? I appreciate you calling. I'm sorry.
Y'all are true Trump fans, and that's fine. I'm not.
Well, I mean,
and we are a red Republican state, and only people survive are the rich here in Dallas, Texas, and that's been throughout the president. So hopefully, if we can have a Democratic House president, maybe we'll see something different.
how long? You know what? Before I let you go, how long have you been in Texas?
I'm born and raised.
Okay, so
I'm a Texan.
Okay, so you saying that the rich are profiting and the poor?
Yeah, there's plenty Bush now. There's plenty rich people in Texas.
Right.
It's a rich state.
Okay, but
the poor don't benefit from it.
Right. And my question to you is, was it like that under Barack Obama?
Of course she's gonna say no.
Yes.
I know it was. Thank you for being honest.
Don't all of them.
Thank you for being honest. And basically what you're saying.
Like that was
basically,
Obama,
right?
He didn't have the power to do the things he wanted to do.
But he was president.
If the House, yeah.
But he was president, and hold on. But he was president, and he also had a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate. He had the first super Congress in years, and I guess he didn't think about Texas at the time. But you know what? I gotta let you go because we got to get ready for the debate tonight. But thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
That is a prime example. When you say who in the world would vote for Joe, there you go.
And you don't have to like Trump, y'all. You don't have to like him.
Wow.
Socialism versus America.
Couldn't name one thing he was racist on. Couldn't name one thing he said that was racist.
Basically,
media.
And one thing that I really forgot to say to her is what you need to do. You need to start in your community. Because when she said that it was the same thing under Obama, which I was shocked that she did, but I'm glad
I was too.
I'm glad she said it. That means that your situation starts in your community, not from the top. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
If and we all know, and actually what she said was true. Obama didn't have power, but Trump doesn't have power either. Okay, if Obama didn't have it, Trump ain't got it either. It's a state thing. You need to talk to the people that are in charge of your city or your town. That's what you need to do. Yeah, girl.
I'm at a loss for words because there was no prime example of racism. She couldn't give one.
972. You're going to be our last call before the debate, but you got to turn your radio down.
Already did it.
Okay. What you want to talk about real quick? Go ahead.
I'm calling from Fort Worth.
All right, Fort Worth.
Is Dallas City is run by Democrats.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? You know what, caller? That's when
I live in Johnson County, and down here with Trump versus Obama, I can see the differences. I got a neighbor that's so stuck on voting for Dems, it ain't funny.
Wow.
You know what? It really gets me. It really gets me when you hear individuals, and thanks for the call. We got to get ready for the debate, but it really gets me when you hear people talk about systemic racism and the Democrats have been in charge of whatever city it was and everything like that. But people don't want to talk about that.
No. So here we are. We're what, 2 minutes away from the debate with the Kristen. Well,
Kristen, yeah. Let me get this banner off. Ladies and gentlemen, if you please share that we are sharing this debate, this presidential debate, and we will be covering it for the full whatever. If you have any questions, just send us text message or download our app. Tell them about the app real quick.
yeah, so you can go to your store and type in the Wayne Dupree podcast, and make sure that you're just downloading it. Takes just a few seconds, and then you can watch the show from there live. You can also send text messages or emails, and it goes directly, so we will be able to see that.
And as you can see, Brian will let you know we do have comments. You'll be able to see the comments at the bottom. Isn't that right, Brian?
Yep, absolutely. And you can, I don't know, did you just say you can call in and text? I'm sharing the show, let everybody know to tune in to live debate.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Julie Thomas says, I shared. Thank you. Patty shared. So yeah, make sure you're.
So if you have anything that you have to say about the event, you can put it in the comments, and hopefully we'll get to all of it. Actually, hopefully we get to all of it.
Right, I'm over on Twitter, so anybody on Twitter or Periscope that's making comments, I'll comment back and forth to you throughout the debate.
There we go. I mean,
Last one. This is it.
I don't feel sorry for her. I just think that there's a whole lot of people that just need to start trying to fix things on the bottom level, on the ground level. You have to go to these community organization meetings and stuff, and you have to run for office. You do.
Right. She's got a misconception of a concept. She needs to go down to City Hall, find out when city council members meet, get involved, find out who they are, run against them. Sometimes they want to step down, and there might even be an open seat for you.
Yeah. I agree. It just blew my mind.
Yeah, prayed out loud in Jesus' name. It's going to be different. I'm with you. God bless you. God bless America. I don't want to run over the time. It looks like they got a blackout in there. What's going on?
It's 9:01. She has not even welcomed us to the debate yet.
Well, actually,
or how the rules will be. Oh, she did. Okay, then I didn't hear it.
Yeah, she did. I muted her because she's a troll, so I muted her.
Oh well, that's okay. I agree.
You got the control.
Yeah, you
mute that moderator.
Let me take this off mute real quick.
Now they said that Bolinski might be in the audience.
The plexiglass isn't there.
Bobolini? What did you say his name was?
Bolinski, I think. So Joe, this is the first time we'll see Joe in person since what, 5 days ago?
Last weekend, yeah.
Yeah, last Friday, Saturday.
It's the oddest thing to be running for president and you don't come out of your house.
Brian says I'm not our Brian.
Right.
Brian says I'm nervous. I'm never nervous.
Why? It's not to be nervous about. Come on, man.
Well, it is a little different. There's mute buttons, and is he going to bring up Hunter? Isn't he? is, you know, what's Joe going to be like?
How
But yeah,
long does
it's
it take to change Joe Biden's diapers?
Oh,
Oh, no.
I can't believe they used the exact same decorations they used for the other debates. I mean, couldn't they have changed it up?
Debate commission.
That commission needs to be gone.
Are there
Get
any
'em out.
flags? Are any flags on poles in the
No,
back?
nothing. It's the ugliest. I mean, really, we need more
So
American
sad.
flags.
Yeah.
It is so sad.
Didn't we tell you? Don't you see that flag up there?
I see
Yeah,
it right there.
and I
but
yelled
like
at
to see
both
him
of you.
on the pole. I like to see him on the poles. You
I
know,
yelled at both of you and said, that's not enough. We are
You know-
America. Put flags everywhere. Put them in the ceiling. Put them everywhere.
like in Boy Scouts, man. They're all up there on the stage across the back.
Yeah, put them up. You got 2 flags. Wayne, you have more flags behind you than what the presidential debate has. Isn't that amazing?
I got a bigger one than they do.
Well, hold on now. We ain't going there.
Yeah, no, size doesn't matter, Brian.
What? Are you kidding me?
Not going there,
The
Brian.
bigger
Oh,
the
look, they're
flag,
zooming
the
in.
more attention you get.
Here she is. Can't hear her.
Good evening from Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm Kristen Welker of NBC News, and I welcome you to the final 2020 presidential debate between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Tonight's debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. It is conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Commission's health security advisor. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, boos, or other interruptions, except right now, as we welcome to the stage former Vice President Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump.
Get the mask off your wolf.
What happened? What I miss?
He bowed.
Joe walked on with a thing.
And then he did a Chinaman.
A mask.
And I do want to say a very good evening to both of you. This debate will cover 6 major topics.
She's
At
reading.
the beginning of each section, each candidate will have 2 minutes uninterrupted
She's
to
reading.
answer my first question. The debate commission will then turn on their microphone only when it is their turn to answer, and the commission will turn it off exactly when the 2 minutes have expired. After that, both microphones will remain on, but on behalf of the voters, I'm going to ask you to please speak one at a time. The goal is for you to hear each other and for the American people to hear every word of what you both have to say. And so with that, if you're ready, let's start. And we will begin with the fight against the coronavirus. President Trump, the first question is for you. The country is heading into a dangerous new phase. More than 40,000 Americans are in the hospital tonight with COVID, including record numbers here in Tennessee. And since the two of you last shared a stage, 16,000 Americans have died from COVID. So please be specific. How would you lead the country during this next stage of the coronavirus crisis? 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So, as you know, 2.2 million people modeled out were expected to die. We closed up the greatest economy in the world in order to fight this horrible disease that came from China. It's a worldwide pandemic. It's all over the world. You see the spikes in Europe and many other places right now. If you notice, the mortality rate is down 85%. The excess mortality rate is way down and much lower than almost any other country. And we're fighting it, and we're fighting it hard. There is a spike. There was a spike in Florida, and it's now gone. There was a very big spike in Texas. It's now gone. There was a very big spike in Arizona. It's now gone. And there are some spikes and surges in other places. They will soon be gone. We have a vaccine that's coming. It's ready. It's going to be announced within weeks, and it's going to be delivered. We have Operation Warp Speed, which is the military is going to distribute the vaccine. I can tell you personal experience that I was in the hospital. I had it, and I got better. And I will tell you that I had something that they gave me, a therapeutic, I guess they would call it. Some people could say it was a cure. But I was in for a short period of time, and I got better very fast, or I wouldn't be here tonight. And now they say I'm immune, whether it's 4 months or a lifetime. Nobody's been able to say that, but I'm immune. More and more people are getting better. We have a problem that's a worldwide problem. This is a worldwide problem. But I've been congratulated by the heads of many countries on what we've been able to do. If you take a look at what we've done in terms of goggles and masks and gowns and everything else, and in particular ventilators, we're now making ventilators all over the world, thousands and thousands a month.
5 seconds.
All over the world. It will go away. And as I say, we're rounding the turn. We're rounding the corner. It's going away.
Okay. Former Vice President Biden, to
Very
you,
nice.
how would you lead the country out of this crisis? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
220,000 Americans dead. You hear nothing else I say tonight. Hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, you're saying I take no responsibility initially. Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as president of the United States of America.
What are you going to do, Joe?
That's unfair.
Where there are 1,000 deaths a day now, 1,000 deaths a day. And there are over 70,000 new cases per day. Compared to what's going on in Europe, as the New England Medical Journal said, they're starting from a very low rate. We're starting from a very high rate. The expectation is we'll have another 200,000 Americans dead between now and the end of the year. If we just wore these masks, the president's own advisors have told, we could save 100,000 lives.
That's why he brought it out
And
there.
what the circumstance with the president thus far and still has no plan, no comprehensive
He
plan.
just gave the plan.
What we do is make sure we have everyone encouraged to wear a mask all the time, but make sure we move in the direction of rapid testing, investing in rapid testing. I would make sure that we set up national standards as to how to open up schools and open up businesses so they can be safe and give them the wherewithal, the financial resources to be able to do that. We're in a situation now where the New England Medical Journal, one of the most serious journals in the whole world, said for the first time ever that the way this president has responded to this crisis has been absolutely tragic. And so, folks, I will take care of this. I will end this. I will make sure we have a plan.
President Trump, I'd
You
like
have 12 seconds left.
in your comments, you talked about taking a therapeutic. I assume you're referencing Regeneron. You also said a vaccine will be coming within weeks.
Yes.
Is that a guarantee?
No, it's not a guarantee, but it will be by the end of the year. But I think it has a good chance. There are 2 companies, I think, within a matter of weeks, and it will be distributed very quickly.
Can you tell us which companies?
Johnson & Johnson is doing very well. Moderna is doing very well. Pfizer is doing very well. And we have numerous others. Then we also have others that we're working on very closely with other countries, in particular Europe.
Let me follow up with you, and because
Good
this
question,
is
good
new
answer.
information, you have said a vaccine is coming soon, within weeks now. Your own officials say it could take well into 2021 at the earliest for enough Americans to get vaccinated. And even then, they say the country will be wearing masks and distancing into 2022. Is your timeline realistic?
No, I think my timeline is going to be more accurate. I don't know that they're counting on the military the way I do, but we have our generals lined up, one in particular, that's the head of logistics. And this is a very easy distribution for him. He's ready to go as soon as we have the vaccine. And we expect to have 100 million vials. As soon as we have the vaccine, he's ready to go.
Vice President Biden, your reaction, and just 40% of Americans say they would definitely agree to take a coronavirus vaccine if it was approved by the government. What steps would you take to give Americans confidence in a vaccine if it were approved?
Transparent. Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way, this is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same
Oh my
fellow
gosh, it keeps cutting on us.
worry we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter. And he has no clear plan, and there's no prospect that there's going to be a vaccine available for the majority of the American people before the middle of next year.
President Trump, your reaction, he says you
I
have
don't
no
think we're
plan.
going to have a dark winter at all. We're opening up our country. We've learned and studied and understand the disease, which we didn't at the beginning. When I closed and banned China from coming in heavily infected, and then ultimately Europe, but China was in January. Months later, he was saying I was xenophobic. I did it too soon. Now he's saying, "Oh, I should have, moved quicker." But he didn't move quicker. He was months behind me, many months behind me. And frankly, he ran the H1N1,
There you go.
and it was a total disaster, far less lethal, but it was a total disaster. Had that had this kind of numbers, 700,000 people would be dead right now. but it is a far less lethal disease. Look, his own person who ran that for him, who, as you know, was his chief of staff, said it was catastrophic. It was horrible. We didn't know what we were doing. Now he comes up and he tells us how to do this. Also, everything that he said about the way every single move that he said we should make, that's what we've done all of it. But he was way behind us.
Vice President Biden, your response.
My response is he is xenophobic, but not because of access from China. And he did it late after 4 countries had already done that. In addition to that, what he did, he made sure that we had 44 people that were in there in China trying to get to Wuhan to determine what exactly the source was. What did the president say in January? He said, no, he said, he's being transparent. The president of China is being transparent. We owe him a debt of gratitude. We have to thank him. And then what happened was we started talking about using the Defense Act to make sure we go out and get whatever is needed out there to protect people. And again, I go back to this. He had nothing. He did virtually nothing. And then he gets out of the hospital and he talks about don't worry. It's all going to be over soon.
Oh, he's starting to mess up.
Yep.
There's not another serious scientist in the world who thinks it's going to be over soon.
President Trump, your reaction?
Let him talk, right? Let him talk.
We're learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like Joe does. He has the ability to lock himself up. I don't know. He made a lot of money someplace. But people can't do that. By the way, I, as the president, couldn't do that. I'd love to put myself in the basement or in a beautiful room in the White House and go away for a year and a half until it disappears. I can't do that. And Kirsten, every meeting I had, and I'd meet a lot of families, including Gold Star families and military families. Every meeting I had, and I had to meet them. I had to. It would be horrible to have canceled everything. I said, this is dangerous. And you catch it. And, I caught it. I learned a lot. Great doctors, great hospitals. And now I recovered. 99.9 young people recover. 99% of people recover. We have to recover. We can't close up our nation. We have to open our school, and we can't close up our nation, or you're not going to have a nation.
And of course, the CDC has said young people can get sick with COVID-19 and can pass it. Vice President Biden, I want to talk broadly about strategy, though. You have
respond to that.
30 seconds, please, and then I have a question.
No, number one, he says that we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it.
What?
Empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed at night and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit, where their wife or husband was, is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it because he's never said, he said it's dangerous.
5 seconds.
Is it really dangerous still? Are we dangerous? You tell the people it's dangerous now? What should they do about the danger? And you say, I take no responsibility.
Let me talk about your two.
Excuse me, I take full responsibility. It's not my fault that it came here. It's China's fault. And
Amen.
it's not Joe's fault that it came here either.
Oh,
It's
very nice.
their fault. They kept it from going into the rest of China for the most part, but they didn't keep it from coming out to.
I didn't do that. Okay, hold on. Is that me or is that them? Is that
I can hear it upstairs, so I know it is playing.
okay?
Party foul. So how do you think Trump's doing so well?
Wonderful. I think
Perhaps just to finish this, I was kidding on that, but just to finish this, when I closed, he said I shouldn't have closed. And that went on for months. What Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. She was dancing on the streets in Chinatown in San Francisco. Right. But when I closed, he said, this is a terrible thing. You're xenophobic. I think he called me racist even. And because I was closing it to China. Now he says I should have closed it earlier. It just, Joe, it doesn't work.
I didn't say either of those things.
You certainly did. You certainly did.
I talked about a xenophobia in a different context. It wasn't about closing the border to Chinese coming
Yes,
to
it
the United
was.
States.
All right, I want to talk about both of your different strategies to handle
He
this.
Be
thought
quiet,
we
Trump.
should have closed
Be
the
quiet,
border.
Trump.
That's obvious.
Be quiet.
Do you want to respond to that quickly, Vice President
No.
Biden? Okay. Let's talk about your different strategies toward dealing with this. Mr. Vice President, you suggested you would support new shutdowns if scientists recommended it. What do you say to Americans who are fearful that the cost of shutdowns, the impact on the economy, the higher rates of hunger, depression, domestic and substance abuse outweighs the risk of exposure to the virus?
What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. It's his who caused the country to have to shut down in large part. Why businesses have gone under, why schools are closed, why so many people have lost their living, and why they're concerned. Those other concerns are real. That's why he should have been, instead of in a sand trap at his golf course, he should have been negotiating with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats and Republicans about what to do about the acts they were passing for billions of dollars to make sure people had the capacity.
But you haven't ruled out more shutdowns.
Oh, no, I'm not shutting down the name, but there are, look, we need standards. The standard is if you have a reproduction rate in a community that's above a certain level, everybody says, slow up. More social distancing. Do not open bars and do not open gymnasiums. Do not open until you get this under control, under more control. But when you do open, give the people the capacity to be able to open and have the capacity to do it safely. For example, schools. Schools, they need a lot of money to open. They need to deal with deal with smaller classes, more teachers, more pods. And he's refused to support that money, or at least up to now.
Let's talk about schools. President Trump,
I think we have to respond, if I might.
please, and then I have a follow-up.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Look,
He's doing great.
But forget about him. His Democrat governors, Cuomo in New York. You look at what's going on in California. You look at Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Democrats all. They're shut down so tight, and they're dying. They're dying. And he supports all these people. All he talks about is shutdowns. No, we're not going to shut down, and we have to open our schools. And it's like, as an example, I have a young son. He also tested positive. By the time I spoke to the doctor the second time, he was fine. It just went away. Young people, I guess it's their immune system.
Let me follow up with you, President Trump. You've demanded schools open in person and insist they can do it safely. But just yesterday, Boston became the latest city to move its public school system entirely online after a coronavirus spike. What is your message to parents who worry that sending their children to school will endanger not only their kids, but also their teachers and families?
I want to open the schools. The transmittal rate to the teachers is very small, but I want to open the schools. We have to open our country. We're not going to have a country. You can't do this. We can't keep this country closed.
Amen.
It's a massive country with a massive economy. People are losing their jobs. They're committing suicide. There's depression, alcohol, drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. There's abuse, tremendous abuse. We have to open our country. You know, I've said it often, the cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. That's what's happening. And he wants to close down. He'll close down the country if one person in our massive bureaucracy says we should close it down.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Simply not true. We ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time.
You can't.
No, he said he would close down
resources to open.
Yeah,
Be able to, for example, if you're going to open a business, have social distancing within the business. You need to have, if you have a restaurant, you need to have plexiglass dividers so people cannot infect one another.
Yeah, but you said you would close it down.
You can take testing rapidly and know whether a person is in fact infected. You need to be able to trace. You need to be able to provide all the resources that are needed to do this. And that is not inconsistent with saying that what we're going to make sure that we open safely. And by the way, all you teachers out there, not that many of you are going to die, so don't worry about it. So don't worry. Come on.
President Trump.
By the way, I will say this. If you go and look at what's happened to New York, it's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. And when you talk about plexiglass, these are restaurants that are dying. These are businesses with no money. Putting up plexiglass is unbelievably expensive, and it's not the answer. I mean, you're going to sit there in a cubicle wrapped around with plastic. These are businesses that are dying, Joe. You can't do that to people. You just can't. Take a look at New York and what's happened to my wonderful city for so many years. I loved it.
He's playing on New York.
Everyone's leaving New York.
take a look at what New York has done in terms of turning the curve down in terms of the number of people dying. And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does. Blue states and red states. They're all the United States. And look at the states that are having such a spike in the coronavirus. They're the red states.
You just said you don't look at it as red states.
That's where the spike is occurring significantly. But they're all Americans. They're all Americans.
He brought it around.
To do is say, wear these masks, number one. Make sure we get the help that the businesses need that has money's already been passed to do that. It's been out there since the beginning of the summer, and nothing's happened.
President New York has lost more than 40,000 people, 11,000 people in nursing homes.
President Trump, what
when
about...
you say spike, take a look at what's happening in Pennsylvania, where they've had it closed. Take a look at what's happening with your friend in Michigan, where her husband's the only one allowed to do anything. It's been like a prison. Now, it was just ruled unconstitutional. Take a look at North Carolina. They're having spikes, and they've been closed, and they're getting killed financially. We can't let that happen, Joe. You can't let that happen. We have to open up. And we understand the disease. We have to protect our seniors. We have to protect our elderly. We have to protect especially our seniors with heart problems and diabetes problems. And we will protect them. We have the best testing in the world by far. That's why we have so many cases.
Let me follow up with you before we move on to our next section. President Trump, this week you called Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's best-known infectious disease expert, quote, a disaster. And other medical experts is quote. Okay. If you're not listening to them, who are you listening to?
I'm listening to all of them, including Anthony. I get along very well with Anthony, but he did say, don't wear masks. Yeah. He did say, good. As you know, this is not going to be a problem. I think he's a Democrat, but that's okay. He said, this is not going to be a problem. We are not going to have a problem at all. When Joe says that, I said, Anthony Fauci said, and others, and many others, and I'm not knocking him a lot. Nobody knew. Look, nobody knew what this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned a lot. But Anthony said, don't wear masks. Now he wants to wear masks. Anthony also said, if you look back, exact words, here's his exact words. This is no problem. This is going to go away soon. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He happens to be a good person.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
My response is that think about what the president knew in January and didn't tell the American people. He was told this was a serious virus that spread in the air, and it was much worse than the flu. He went on record and said to one of your colleagues, recorded, that in fact he knew how dangerous it was, but he didn't want to tell us. He didn't want to tell us because he didn't want us to panic. He didn't want us. Americans don't panic. He panicked. But guess what? In the meantime, we find out in the New York Times the other day that, in fact, his folks went to Wall Street and said this is a really dangerous thing. And a memo out of that meeting, not from his administration, but from some of the brokers, said sell short because we got to get moving. It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going to give you 30 seconds to respond, and then we're going to move on.
I don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it. Oh! You have raised a lot of money, tremendous amounts of money. And every time you raise money, deals are made, Joe. I could raise so much more money as president and as somebody that knows most of those people. I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad position. And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street, not me. I could blow away your records that like you wouldn't believe. We don't need money. We have plenty of money. In fact, we beat Hillary Clinton with a tiny fraction of the money that she was able.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to move on.
Average contribution, $43.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is national security. And I do want to start with the security of our elections and some breaking news from overnight. Just last night, top intelligence officials confirmed again that both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election. Both countries have obtained U.S. voter registration information, these officials say, and Iran sent intimidating messages to Florida voters. This question goes to you, Mr. Vice President. What would you do to put an end to this threat? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
I made it clear, and I ask everyone else to take the pledge. I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price. They will pay a price. And it's been overwhelmingly clear this election, I won't even get into the last one, this election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved. They will pay a price if I'm elected. They're interfering with American sovereignty. That's what's going on right now. They're interfering with American sovereignty. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think the president said anything to Putin about it. I don't think he's talked a lot. I don't think he said a word.
Oh, you in trouble now?
Said a word.
You
And
just
I don't
backed
know what
yourself
he has
into a
recently
corner.
said, if anything, to the Iranians. My guess is he'd probably be more outspoken with regard to the Iranians. But the point is this, folks. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, well, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn.
Dude,
What are you doing?
Yourself.
And then what happens?
You hurt yourself.
And then
You
you
did
find
it.
out that
You did it.
everything that's going on here about Russia is wanting to make sure that I do not get elected the next president of the United States because they know I know them and they know me. I don't
Yeah, they
understand
do.
why this president is unwilling to take on Putin when he's actually paying
Look at that
bounties to
smile.
kill American soldiers in Afghanistan, when he's engaged in activities that are trying to destabilize all of NATO. I don't know why he doesn't do it, but it's worth asking the question. Why isn't that being done? Any country that interferes with us will, in fact, pay a price because they're affecting our sovereignty.
President Trump, same question to you. Let me ask the question. You're going to have 2 minutes to respond. For 2 minutes.
He's lit up.
Interference from foreign adversaries. What would you do in your next term to put an end to this? 2 minutes
Well,
uninterrupted.
let me respond to the first part as Joe answered. Joe got $3.5 million from Russia.
There you go.
And it came through Putin because he
There you
was very
go.
friendly with the former mayor of Moscow, and it was the mayor of Moscow's wife. And
There you
he got
go.
$3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million. And, you know, someday you're going to have to explain, why did you get 3.5? I never got any money from Russia. I don't get money from Russia. Now, about your thing last night, I knew all about that. And through John Ratcliffe, who was fantastic, DNI, he said, the one thing that's common to both of them, they both want you to lose because there has been nobody tougher to Russia. Between the sanctions, nobody tougher than me on Russia. Between the sanctions, between all of what I've done with NATO, you know, I've got the NATO countries to put up an extra $130 billion, going to $420 billion a year. That's to guard against Russia. I sold, while he was selling pillows and sheets, I sold tank busters to Ukraine. There has been nobody tougher than Donald Trump. And I'll tell you, they were so bad. They took over the submarine port. You remember that very well. During your term, during you and Barack Obama, they took over a big part of what should have been Ukraine. You handed it to them, but you were getting a lot of money from Russia. They were paying you a lot of money, and they probably still are. But
30 seconds.
Came out today. It's even worse. All of the emails, the horrible, the kind of money that you were raking in, you and your family. And Joe, you were vice president when some of this was happening. It never happened. And I think you owe
15 seconds
to the American people. Why is it? Somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family. But what he said was damning. And regardless of me, I think you have to clean it up and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now.
President Biden, you may respond.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China.
I knew he's
Has a
gonna do
secret
that.
bank account with China, does business in China.
I knew he's gonna do
And
that.
in fact, is talking about me taking money. I've not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever. Number one. Number two, this is a president. I have released all of my tax returns, 22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? The foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot. And your hotels and all your businesses all around the country, all around the world. And China's building a new road to a new a golf course you have overseas. So what's going on here? Why don't release your tax return or stop talking about corruption?
President Trump, your response.
First of all, I called my accountants under audit. I'm going to release them as soon as we can. I want to do it, and it'll show how successful, how great this company is. But much more importantly than that, people were saying $750. I asked them a week ago, I said, what did I pay? They said, sir, you prepaid tens of millions of dollars. I prepaid my tax. Tens over the last number of years. Tens of millions of dollars I prepaid. Because at some point they think it's an estimate. They think I may have to pay tax. So I already prepaid it. Nobody told me that.
Did your account
Nobody told you that. Excuse me. And
Yeah. Shut up.
Right this way. They keep talking about $750, which I think is a filing fee. But let me just tell you, I prepaid millions and millions of dollars in taxes. Number one. Number two, I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe, and your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know, but you're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10% to the big man. Joe, what's that all about? It's terrible.
Gentlemen, I want to ask you both some questions about all of this. I'm going to let you both respond very quickly. You just said you spoke to your accountant about potentially releasing your taxes. Did he tell you when you can release them? Do you have a deadline for when you're going to release them?
I get treated worse than the Tea Party got treated. Because I have a lot of people in there, deep down in the IRS, they treat me horribly. We made a deal, it was all settled until I decide to run for president. I get treated very badly by the IRS, very unfairly. But we had a deal all done. As soon as we're completed with the deal, I want to release it. But I have paid millions and millions of dollars, and it's worse than paying. I paid in advance. It's called prepaying your taxes. I paid in advance.
I want to ask you both about questions regarding your potential foreign entanglements and questions that have been raised to give you both a chance to talk about this more broadly. Respond very quickly, and then I'll get to my question.
Why did he's been saying this for 4 years? Show us. Just show us. Stop playing around. You've been saying for 4 years you're going to reduce your taxes. Nobody knows, Mr. President. What they do know is you're not paying your taxes, or you're paying taxes that are so low. When last time he said what he paid, he said, I only pay that low because I'm smart. I know how to game the system. Come on, folks.
So,
President Trump, and then I want to get to two questions to both of you.
Sure.
I was put through a phony witch hunt for 3 years. It started before I even got elected. They spied on my campaign.
Yep.
President should ever have to go through what I went through. Let me just say this. Mueller and 18 angry Democrats and FBI agents all over the place spent $48 million. They went through everything I had, including my tax returns, and they found absolutely no collusion and nothing wrong. $48 million. I guarantee you, if I spend $1 million on you, Joe, I could find plenty wrong, because the kind of things that you've done and the kind of monies that your family has taken. I mean, your brother made money in Iraq, millions of dollars. Your other brother made a fortune, and it's all through you, Joe. And they say you get some of it, and you do live very well. You have houses all over the place. You live very well.
All right, gentlemen, let me just ask some questions about all of this broadly. Vice President Biden, there have been questions about the work your son has done in China and for a Ukrainian energy company when you were vice president. In retrospect, was anything about those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal.
Deny inappropriate.
We had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned of a Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably. I carried out U.S. policy. Not one single solitary thing was out of line. Not a single thing. Number one. Number two, the guy who got in trouble in Ukraine was this guy trying to bribe the Ukrainian government to say something negative about me, which they would not do and did not do, because it never, ever, ever happened. My son has not made money in terms of this thing about what are you talking about, China. I have not had, the only guy who made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
President Trump, let me ask my question to you.
But could I just one thing?
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time, was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him $183,000 a month. Listen to this. 183, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the vice president
That's
respond to that quickly, and then I need to get to a
dishonest.
question to you. Very
No basis for that. Everybody investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine.
Okay, President Trump, this is you've never divested from your business. You've personally promoted your properties abroad. A report this week, which was referenced, does indicate that your company has a bank account in China. So how can you ensure that you don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts, and they're all listed, and they're all over the place. I mean, I was a businessman doing business. The bank account you're referring to, which is everybody knows about it, it's listed. The bank account was in 2013. That's what it was. It was opened it was closed in 2015, I believe. And then I decided, because I was thinking about doing a deal in China, like millions of other people. I was thinking about it, and I decided I'm not going to do it. Didn't like it. I decided not to do it. Had an account open, and I closed it.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him, where he's vice president and he does business, I then decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed it before I even ran for president, let alone became president. Big difference. He is the vice president of the United States, and his son, his brother, and his other brother are getting rich. They're like a vacuum cleaner. They're sucking up money.
President Trump, we do want to ask you, Vice President Biden, about
Vacuum
China.
cleaner,
Let's
Coke.
talk about China more broadly. There have, of course, President Trump has said that they should pay for not being fully transparent in regards to the coronavirus. If you were president, would you make China pay? And please be specific. What would that look like?
What I think China do is play by the international rules, not like he has done. He has caused the deficit of China to go up, not down, with China, up, not down. We are making sure that in order to do business in China, you have to give all your intellectual property. You have to have a partner in China. It's 51%. We would not do that at all, number one. Number two, we're in a situation where China would have to play by the rules internationally as well. When I met with Xi, when I was still vice president, he said we're setting up air identification zones in the South China Sea. You can't fly through them. I said we're going to fly through them. We just flew B-52, B-1 bombers through it. We're not going to pay attention. They have to play by the rules. And what's he do? He embraces guys like the thugs like in North Korea and the Chinese president and Putin and others. And
You can't even remember the name.
all of our friends, all of our allies. We make up we're 25% of the world's economy. We need having the rest of our friends with us saying to China, these are the rules. You play by them or you're going to pay the price by them economically. That's the way I will run it, and that's what we did in upholding steel tariffs and a range of other things when we were president and vice president.
All right, and let's talk about North Korea.
Excuse me, no, I have to respond to that.
Okay, very quickly, and then we're going to move on to North Korea.
$1.5 billion from China to after spending 10 minutes in office and being in Air Force Two, number one. Number two, there's a very strong email talking about your family wanting to make $10 million a year for introductions.
President Trump, on China policy, though, what specifically are you going to do? What specifically are you going to do to make China pay? You said you're going
First
to
of
make
all,
them pay.
China is paying. They're paying billions and billions of dollars. I just gave $28 billion.
New sanctions?
I just gave $28 billion to our farmers.
Taxpayers'
China,
money.
That's what?
Taxpayers' money.
No, yeah, you know the taxpayer it's called China. China paid $28 billion, and you know what they did to pay it, Joe? They devalued their currency, and they also paid up. And you know who got the money? Our farmers, our great farmers, because they were targeted. You never charged them anything. Also, I charged them 25% on dumped steel because they were killing our steel industry. We were not going to have a steel industry.
Okay.
And now we have a steel
He's
industry.
knocking it out with the worker.
Your response, please.
Our response is, look, this isn't about, there's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it. talk about the substantive issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family. And your family's hurting badly. If you're making less than, if you're a middle-class family, you're getting hurt badly right now. You're sitting at the kitchen table this morning deciding, well, we can't get new tires, they're bald because we have to wait another month or so. Or are we going to be able to pay the mortgage? Or who's going to tell her she can't go back to community college? They're the decisions you're making. And the middle-class families like I grew up in Scranton and Claymont, they're in trouble. We should be talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
I want to talk about North Korea. I do want to turn to 10 seconds, Mr. President.
It's a typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing. And then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk about North Korea.
I'm not a typical politician.
Okay.
That's why I got elected.
Let's
get off the subject of China. Let's look around, sitting around the table.
Right.
Come on, Joe, you can do better.
We're going to talk about North Korea now. President Trump, you've met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un 3 times. You've talked about your beautiful letters with him. You've touted the fact that there hasn't been a war or a long-range missile test. And yet North Korea recently rolled out its biggest ever intercontinental ballistic missile and continues to develop its nuclear arsenal. Do you see that as a betrayal of the relationship you forged? Just 30 seconds here because we need to get on to the next.
So when I met with Barack Obama, we sat in the White House right at the beginning, had a great conversation. It was supposed to be 15 minutes and it was well over an hour. He said the biggest problem we have with is North Korea. He indicated we will be in a war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a nuclear war. And he does have plenty of nuclear capability. In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war. And, you know, about 2 months ago, he broke into a certain area. They said, oh, there's going to be trouble. I said, no, they're not, because he's not going to do that. And I was right. Look, instead of being in a war where millions of people, Seoul, you know, is 25 miles away, millions and millions, 32 million people, and so millions of people would be dead right now.
President Trump, that's 30 seconds. Thank you. Vice President Biden, to you. North Korea conducted 4 nuclear tests under the Obama administration. Why do you think you would be able to rein in this persistent threat?
Because I'd make it clear, which we were making clear to China, they had to be part of the deal. Because here's the ring. I made it clear, and as a spokesperson of the administration when I went to China, that they said, why are you moving your missile defense up so close? Why are you moving more forces here? Why are you continuing to do military maneuvers with South Korea? I said, because North Korea is a problem, and we're going to continue to do it so we can control them. We're going to make sure we can control them and make sure they cannot hurt us. And so if you want to do something about it, step up and help. If not, it's going to continue. What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy, who's a thug, and he talks about how we're better off. And they have much more capable missiles, able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President Biden. You've said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions. Are there any conditions under which you would meet with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get the Korean Peninsula should be nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's move on to American families.
They tried
Very
to
quickly,
meet with
10
him.
seconds,
They
President.
tried to meet with him. He wouldn't do it. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like him. He wouldn't do it.
Okay, I got to give him a chance to respond to that
He
before we
wouldn't
move
do
on.
it. And it's okay. You know what? North Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having a good relationship
Trump,
with
we have to
leaders
move
of other
on.
countries is a good thing.
We have a lot of questions to get to.
Not
Your
to
response.
extent we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded Europe, the rest of Europe. Come on. The reason he would not meet with President Obama is because President Obama said, we're going to talk about denuclearization. We're not going to legitimize you. We're going to continue to put stronger and stronger sanctions on you. That's why he wouldn't meet with us.
All right,
And it
let's
didn't
move
happen.
on. Let's
Excuse
move on
me.
and talk
He
about
left
American
me a
families.
mess, Kristen.
President Trump, okay, we do
They
need to move
left
on.
me a mess.
You know what?
North Korea was a
Honestly, the
mess.
moderator is doing a great job tonight.
The first 2 or 3 months,
I'm with you.
very dangerous period of my first 3 months before we sort of worked things out a little bit.
Okay.
There was they left us a mess, and Obama would be, I think, the first to say it was the single biggest problem he thought that our country.
Okay, let's move on to American families and the economy. One of the issues that's most important to them is health care, as you both know. Today, there was a key vote on a new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and health care is at the center of her confirmation fight. Over 20 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. It's headed to the Supreme Court, and your administration, Mr. President, is advocating for the court to overturn it. If the Supreme Court does overturn that law, those 20 million Americans could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do if those people have their health insurance taken away? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was possible. Through the legislature, I terminated the individual mandate. That is the worst part of Obamacare, as we call it. The individual mandate where you have to pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. I terminated. It's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good. But then I made a decision. Run it as well as you can to my people, great people. Run it as well as you can. I could have gone the other route and made everybody very unhappy. They ran it. Premiums are down. Everything's down. Here's the problem. No matter how well you run it, it's no good. What we'd like to do is terminate it. We have the individual mandate done. I don't know that it's going to work. If we don't win, we will have to run it and we'll have Obamacare, but it'll be better run. But it no longer is Obamacare because without the individual mandate, it's much different. Pre-existing conditions will always stay. What I would like to do is a much better healthcare, much better, will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new, beautiful health care. The Democrats will do it because there'll be tremendous pressure on them, and we might even have the House by that time. And I think we're going to win the House, okay? You'll see, but I think we're going to win the House. But come up with a better health care, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one thing very important, we have 180 million people out there that have great private health care, far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies. These are people that love their health care, people that have been successful, middle-income people, been successful. They have 180 million plans, 180 million people, families. Under what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine, he won't even have a choice. They want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on health care, and we're going to do even better.
Okay, Vice President Biden, yes, this is for you. Your health care plan calls for building on Obamacare. So my question is, what is your plan if the law is ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option. Become Biden care. The public option is an option that says that if you, in fact, do not have the wherewithal to be, if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically are enrolled, providing competition for insurance companies. That's what's going to happen. Secondly, we're going to make sure we reduce the premiums and reduce drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now by allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the insurance companies. Thirdly, the idea that I want to eliminate private insurance, the reason why I had such a fight with 20 candidates for the nomination was I support private insurance. That's why I did not one single person with private insurance would lose their insurance under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare. They did not lose their insurance unless they chose they wanted to go to something else. Lastly, we're going to make sure we're in a situation that we actually protect pre-existing. There's no way he can protect pre-existing conditions. None, zero. You can't do it in the ether. He's been talking about this for a long time. He's never come up with a plan. I guess we're going to get the pre-existing condition plan the same time we get the infrastructure plan that we've been waiting since 17, 18, 19, and 20. The fact, I still have a few more minutes. I know you're getting anxious. The fact is that He's already cost the American people, because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and the economic spillover, 10 million people have lost their private insurance. And he wants to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare, and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions. And all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you, Vice President Biden. It relates to something that President Trump said. He's accusing you of wanting socialized medicine. What do you say to people who have concerns that your health care plan, which includes a government insurance option, takes the country one step closer to a health care system run entirely by the government?
I say it's ridiculous. It's like saying that, we're the idea that the fact that there's a public option that people can choose, that makes it a socialist plan. Look, the difference between the president, I think healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right. Everyone should have the right to have affordable healthcare. And I am very proud of my plan. It's gotten endorsed by all the major labor unions, as well as a whole range of other people who, in fact, are concerned in the medical field. This is something that's going to save people's lives, and this is going to give some people an opportunity to have health care for their children. How many of you home are worried and rolling around in bed tonight wondering what in God's name you're going to do if you get sick? Because you've lost your home insurance, your health insurance, your company's gone under. We have to provide health insurance for people at an affordable rate, and that's what I do.
President Trump,
Excuse me, he was there for 47 years. He didn't do it. He was now there as vice president for 8 years, and it's not like it was 25 years ago. It was 3 3/4. It was just a little while ago, right? Less than 4 years ago. He didn't do anything. He didn't do it. He wants socialized medicine, and it's not that he wants it. His vice president, I mean, she is more liberal than Bernie Sanders and wants it even more. Bernie Sanders wants it. The Democrats want it. You're going to have socialized medicine, just like you went with fracking. We're not going to have fracking. We're going to stop fracking. We're going to stop fracking. Then he goes to Pennsylvania after he gets a nomination, where he got very lucky to get it. And he goes to Pennsylvania and he says, oh, we're going to have fracking. And you never asked that question. And by the way, so far, I respect very much the way you're handling this. I have to say.
By the way,
but somebody should ask the question.
You can ask.
He goes for a year. There will be
we have a number of topics.
No, but that's a big question.
We're going to get to.
It's the same thing with socialized medicine.
Vice President, your response, please.
My response is people deserve to have affordable health care, period. Period. And the Biden care proposal will, in fact, provide for that affordable health care, lower premiums. What we're going to do is going to cost some money. It's going to cost over $750 billion over 10 years to do it. And they're going to have lower premiums. You can buy into the better plans, the cheaper plans, lower your premiums.
Obamacare again? Hell no.
Unexpected billing and have drug prices.
What Obama said.
He keeps talking about it. He hasn't done a thing for anybody on health care. Not a thing.
Kristen, when he says,
then I want to talk about what's happening on Capitol Hill.
he's talking about socialized medicine and and healthcare. When he talks about a public option, he's talking about destroying your Medicare, totally destroying your Social Security, and this whole country will come down. You know, Bernie Sanders tried it in his state. He tried it in his state. His governor was a very liberal governor. They wanted to make it work.
Okay, let's hear Vice President Biden respond.
It doesn't
Vice
work.
President
He's
Biden
a very
responds.
confused guy. He thinks he's running against somebody else. He's running against Joe Biden. I beat all those other people because I beat them. Joe Biden he's running against. And the idea that we're in a situation that they're going to destroy Medicare, this is the guy that the actuary at Medicare said, if in fact, at Social Security, if in fact he continues to withhold his plan to withhold the tax on Social Security will be bankrupt by 2023.
Well, it was already going to be bankrupt.
To make up for it. This is the guy who's tried to cut Medicare. So I mean, the idea that Donald
Obama
Trump
tried to cut
is lecturing me
Medicare.
on Social
He
Security.
needed the money.
Come on.
He tried to get rid of. He tried to hurt Social Security years ago. Years ago, go back and look at the records. He tried to hurt Social Security years ago.
All right, let's move on.
This
I'm
is
going to
the
move
guy
on.
that when they announced,
Mr. President, I have to move on to the next question.
they said
or
the
else
stock
we're not
market
gonna
will
have time
boom
to talk.
if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay, let's
Biggest
move on to the
analysts
next
say.
question very quickly.
Look, the idea that the stock market is booming is his only measure of what's happening. Where I come from in Scranton and Claremont, the people don't live off of the stock market. Just in the last three years during this crisis, the billionaires in this country made, according to the Wall Street, $700 billion more. $700 billion more, because that's his only measure. What happens to the ordinary people out there? What happens to them?
Let's talk about what's happening on Capitol Hill. We're going to move on.
401ks are through the roof.
We're going to move
Stock are through the roof. And he doesn't come from Scranton. That's like he lived there for a short period of time before he even knew.
We're going to move on to the next question.
The people of Pennsylvania.
Let me
will
move
show
on
you
to my
that.
next question,
They
gentlemen.
understand.
As of tonight, more than 12 million people are out of work. And as of tonight, 8 million more Americans have fallen into poverty, and more families are going hungry every day. Those hit hardest are women and people of color. They see Washington fighting over a relief bill. Mr. President, why haven't you been able to get them the help they need? 30 seconds here.
Because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve it. I do.
But you're the president.
I do, but I still have to get. Unfortunately, that's what.
Jeez, he's got to go through Congress.
Of her. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve anything because she'd love to have some victories on a date called November 3rd. Nancy Pelosi does not want to approve it. We are ready, willing, and able to do something. Don't forget, we've already approved 3 plans, and it's gone through, including the Democrats, in all fairness. This one she doesn't want. It's near the election because she thinks it helps her politically. I think it hurts her politically.
All right, Mr. Vice President.
You know, the Republican leader in the United States Senate said he can't pass it. He will not be able to pass it. He does not have Republican votes. Why isn't he talking to his Republican friends?
Let me follow up with you, Vice President
We made a
Biden,
deal,
because
the
let me ask
Yes.
Vice President Biden a question. You are the leader of the Democratic Party. Why have you not pushed the Democrats to get a deal for the American people?
Oh, they have pushed it. Look, they passed this act all the way back in the beginning of the summer. This is like it's not new. It's been out there. This HEROES Act has been sitting there. And look at what's happening. When I was in charge of the Recovery Act with $800 billion, I was able to get $145 billion to local communities that have to balance their budgets, and states that have to balance their budgets, and then have to fire firefighters, teachers, first responders, law enforcement officers, so they can keep their cities and counties running. He will not support that. They
35.
have done a thing for them. And Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. Let them go bankrupt. Come on. What's the matter with
The bill that was passed in the House was a bailout of badly run, high crime, Democrat, all run by Democrats, cities and states. It was a way of getting a lot of money, billions and billions of dollars to these kids. It was also a way of getting a lot of money
This is
from
good.
our people's pockets to people that come into our country illegally.
I'm sorry, people. This is
We're gonna
good.
Take care of everything for them. And what that does, and I'd love to do that, I'd love to help them, but what that does, everybody all over the world will start pouring into our country. We can't do it. This was a way of taking care of them. This was a way of spending on things that had nothing to do with COVID, as per your question. But it was really a big bailout for badly run Democrat cities and states.
All right,
By the way, if I get elected, I'm running as a proud Democrat. I'm going to be an American president. I don't see red states and blue states. What I see is American, United States. And folks, every single state out there finds themselves in trouble. They're going to start laying off, whether they're red or blue, cops, firefighters, first responders, because teachers, because they have to balance their budget. And the founders were smart. They allowed the federal government to deficit spend to compensate for the United States of America.
I want to talk about the minimum wage, gentlemen. Mr. Vice President, we are talking a lot about struggling small businesses and business owners these days. Do you think this is the right time to ask them to raise the minimum wage? You, of course, support a $15 federal minimum wage.
I do, because I think one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to bail them out too. We should be bailing them out now, those small businesses. You got 1 in 6 of them going under. They're not going to be able to make it back. They passed a package that allows us to be able to call PPP. Money is supposed to go to help them do everything from organize how they can deal with their businesses being open safely. Schools, how they can make classrooms smaller, how they can hire more teachers, how they can put ventilation systems in. They need the help.
Ventilations.
As well as the schools need the help. But these guys will not help them. is not giving them any of the money.
We are going to move on to immigration, but I want to get
we
your
have to help our
reaction.
small businesses by raising the minimum wage. That's not helping. I think it should be a state option. Alabama is different than New York. New York is different from Vermont. Every state is different. It should be a state option.
You said very
we have to
recently.
help. It's very important. We have to help our small businesses. How are you helping your small businesses when you're forcing wages? What's going to happen, and what's been proven to happen, is when you do that, these small businesses fire many of their employees.
You said very recently you would consider raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. You said recently you would consider raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. Is that still the case?
And I would consider it to an extent, but
In a
what I
second
really like,
administration?
in a second administration, but not to a level that's going to put all these businesses out of business. It should be a state option. Look, I've lived in different places. I know different places. They're all different. Some places, $15 is not so bad. In other places, other states, $15.
Okay, President Trump, thank you. Quick response, Vice President Biden.
2 jobs, 1 job, be below poverty. People are making $6, $7, $8 an hour. These first responders, we all clap for as they come down the street because they've allowed us to make it. What's happening? They deserve a minimum wage of $15.
They want to defund the police.
That puts you below the poverty level. And there is no evidence that when you raise the minimum wage, businesses go out of business. Not true.
We're going to talk about immigration. We're going to talk about immigration now, gentlemen, and we're going to talk about families within this context. Mr. President, your administration separated children from their parents at the border, at least 4,000 kids. You've since reversed your zero tolerance policy, but the United States can't locate the parents of more than 500 children.
I read
so
that.
how will these families ever be reunited?
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people.
You're right.
And they're brought here, and they used to use them to get into our country. We now have as strong a border as we've ever had. We're over 400 miles of brand new wall. You see the numbers, and we let people in, but they have to come in legally, and they come in through.
But how will you reunite these kids with their families?
Let me just tell you.
Stop, lady.
Cages. You know, they used to say, I built the cages. And then they had a picture in a certain newspaper. And it was a picture of these horrible cages. And they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And then it was determined they were built in 2014. That was him.
Do you
They
have a
built
plan to
cages.
reunite the kids?
Yes,
with
we're
their
working on
families?
it we're trying very hard. But a lot of these kids come out without the parents. They come over through cartels and through coyotes and through gangs.
Vice President Biden, let me bring you into this
525.
conversation. Quick response and then another question to you.
These 500 plus kids came with parents.
You can't prove that, Joe.
Separated them at the border to make it a disincentive to come to begin with. They real tough. We're really strong. And guess what? They cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their parents. And it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
Let me ask you a follow-up
Kristen,
question.
they did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
They
to
did
that?
it. We changed.
did not
They built the
separate
cages.
Yeah, you did.
Who built
Yes,
the
you did.
cages, Joe?
Let's talk about
Who built the cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about. What happened? Parents were ripped, their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And
That's
now
not
they
true.
cannot find over 500 of sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go.
Fear.
It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you
I will
about
say this.
immigration.
They went
10
down.
seconds
We
and
brought
then I need
reporters, everything. They are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean.
But some of
They've
them
gotten
haven't been
such good-
reunited
But
with
just
their
ask
families.
one question. Who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration. The Obama administration did fail to deliver immigration reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because they made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship. The idea that they are being sent home by this guy and they want to do that is they're going to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River and it's illegal. And you say, oh no, Mom, leave me here. I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many of them are model citizens. Over 20,000 were first responders out there taking care during this crisis.
What is he talking about?
We owe them.
Kristen, he had 8 years to do what he said he was going to do. And I've changed without having a specific. We got rid of catch and release. We got rid of a lot of horrible things that they put in and that they lived with. But he had 8 years he was vice president. He did nothing except build cages to keep children in.
Vice President Biden, your response.
The catch and release, you know what he's talking about there? If in fact you had a family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up. This is the first time in the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that I seek asylum based on the following premise: why I deserve it under American law. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of the river.
President Trump, your response,
So
30
important.
seconds, and then we'll move
It just shows that he has no understanding of immigration or the laws. Catch and release is a disaster. A murderer would come in, a rapist would come in, a very bad person would come in. We would take their name. We have to release them into our country. And then you say they come back. Less than 1% of the people come back. We have to send ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case. When you say they come back, they don't come back, Joe. They never come back. Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ, they might come back.
Okay, President Trump, let's give Vice President Biden a chance to respond, and then we're going to move on to the
You
next
don't know
section.
the law, Joe.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Know the law, what he's telling you is simply not true.
Well, check it out. They don't come back.
Check it out.
All right, let's move on.
But we don't have
to
to
the
worry
next
about it because they
section.
terminated it. So we don't have to worry about
Let's
it.
move on to the next
Yeah,
section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right, let's talk about
Go ahead.
race in America. And I want to talk about the way Black and Brown Americans experience race in this country. Part of that experience is something called the talk. It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin. Mr. Vice President, in the next 2 minutes, I want you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
I do. You know, my daughter is a social worker, and she's written a lot about this. She has a graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know, one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was going on. I never had to tell my daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel and don't reach for the glove box because someone may shoot you. But a Black parent, no matter how wealthy or how poor they are, has to teach their child when you're walking down the street, don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street, making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over,
That's kind of racist.
sir, hands on top of the wheel, because you are, in fact, the victim, whether you're a person making child of a $300,000 a year person or someone who's on food stamps. The fact of the matter is there is institutional racism in America. And we have always said, we've never lived up to it, that we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal. Well, guess what? We have never, ever lived up to it. But we've always constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion. not exclusion. This is the first president to come along and says that's the end of that. We're not going to do that anymore. We have to provide for economic opportunity, better education, better health care, better access to schooling, better access to opportunity to borrow money to start businesses. All the things we can do, and I've laid out a clear plan as to how to do those things, just to give people a shot. It's about accumulating the ability to have wealth as well as it is to be free from violence.
President Trump, same question to you, and let me remind you of the question. I would like you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Yes, I do. And again, he's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994.
Here we go.
Such harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that. He said
Oh,
it,
yeah.
super
He
predators.
did. It's recorded.
No.
He,
Hillary did.
That down.
he did it too. He got back out on the stage.
The super predators. Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception of Abraham Lincoln, nobody has done what I've done. Criminal justice reform. Obama and Joe didn't do it. I don't even think they tried because they had no chance at doing it. They might have wanted to do it, but if you had to see the arms I had to twist to get that done, it was not a pretty picture. And everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out saying, gee, we have to defeat him. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity zones. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the black and Hispanic communities, and then historically black colleges and universities. After 3 years of coming to the office, I love some of those guys. They were great. They came into the office and they said, I said, what are you doing? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because we have no funding. I said, you don't have to come back every year. We have to come back because President Obama would never give them long-term funding. And I did. 10-year long-term funding, and I gave them more money than they asked for because they said, I think you need more. And I said, the only bad part about this is I may never see you again because I got very friendly with them. And they like me and I like them. But I saved historically black colleges and universities.
Okay, and we're going to talk about both of your records, but your response to that, Vice
My
Chair.
response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying. The fact of the matter is, in 2000 now, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is the guy who said, the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs, and the people who are going to maraud our cities. This is the guy who in the Central Park 5 innocent black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes they were suggested. Look, and talk about granted, he did in fact let 20 people, he commuted 20 people's sentences. We commuted over 1,000 people's sentences. Over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where the federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration. And one of these things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate minimum mandatories and set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail. We should fundamentally change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
Why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, even less than that? Why didn't you? You were vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do and you're going to do this, but you were there just a short time ago and you guys did nothing.
We did.
You know, Joe, I ran because of you. I ran because of because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run. I would have never run. I ran because of you. I'm looking at you now. You're a politician. I ran because of you.
All right, Vice President Biden, your response to that, and then I do have some questions for both of you.
Well, I tell you what, I hope he does look at me because what's happening here is, you know who I am. You know who he is. You know his character. You know my character. You know our reputation is for honor and telling the truth. I'm to have this race. I'm anxious to see this take place. I am the character of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask some
Excuse me.
Please respond, and then we're going to have
stuff
follow-up
is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq. If this is true, then he's a corrupt politician. So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician. Nobody.
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
From hell.
President Trump, we're
Nobody.
talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
And I
you've
have to
just
respond to that.
Please.
Because look,
Very quick.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And that's exactly what.
This is where he's going. The laptop is Russia.
Gentlemen, I want to stay on the issue of race.
You to be kidding. Again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue of race. Mr. President, you've described the Black Lives Matter movement as a symbol of hate. You've shared a video of a man chanting white power to millions of your supporters. You've said that Black professional athletes exercising their First Amendment rights should be fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street. And that was my first glimpse of
that was under Barack Obama, too, by the way.
As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
What do you say to Americans who are concerned by that rhetoric?
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of Black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say. They can say anything. I mean, they can say anything. It makes me sad because I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark, but I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
Okay, Vice President Biden, let me ask you very quickly, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every single racist fire. Every single one. Started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around and made everything worse across the board. He says about the poor boys, last time we were on stage here, he said, I told them to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy is a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
President Trump, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I have a follow-up.
You made a reference to Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come in? I mean,
you said you're Abraham Lincoln.
Where did that? No. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the Black community.
And I'm saying,
I didn't say I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the Black community. Now, you have done nothing other than the crime bill, which put tens of thousands of Black men, mostly, in jail.
All right, let me
they
ask
remember
Vice
it because if you look at what's happening with the voting right now,
let me ask
they
Vice
remember
President
that
Biden
you treated them very, very badly. Just take a look at what's happening out there.
Vice President Biden, let me give you a chance to respond within this context. Crime bills that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of young Black men who had small amounts of drugs in their possession. They are sons, they are brothers, their fathers, their uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences.
Yep.
So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
Yep.
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake. I've been trying to change the sense, and particularly the portion on cocaine. That's why I've been arguing that, in fact, we should not send anyone to jail for a pure drug offense. They should be going into treatment across the board. That's what we should be spending money. That's why I set up drug courts, which were never funded by our Republican friends. They should not be going to jail for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going into treatment. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what I'm going to get done, because I think maybe the American people have now seen that, in fact, it was a mistake to pass those laws related to the drug, but they were not in the crime bill.
But why didn't he get it done? See, it's all talk, no action with these politicians. Why didn't he get it done?
Good
That's
job.
what I'm going to do when I become president.
Good job.
You were vice president along with Obama as your president, your leader, for 8 years. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Jim.
We got a lot of it done. We released
You did
38,000.
anything
We got
done.
38,000 prisoners left from.
You got nothing done.
38,000 prisoners were released from federal prison. There were over 1,000 people who were given clemency. In fact, we're the ones that put in the legislation saying we could look at pattern and practice of police departments and what they were doing, how they were conducting themselves. I could go on, but we began the process. We lost an election. That's why I'm running to win back that election and change this terrible policy.
I just asked one question. Why didn't you do it in the 8 years, a short time ago? Why didn't you do it? You just said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. You put tens of thousands of mostly black young men in prison. Now you're saying you're going to undo that. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years with Obama. You know why, Joe? Because you're all talk and no action.
All right, Vice President.
Wow.
Move on to the next section.
We had a Republican Congress.
Is that your answer?
Okay.
You got to talk them into it, Joe. So
All right.
you gotta talk-
We're going to move on to our next section.
like I did
which
with
is
criminal justice reform. I had
Okay.
to talk Democrats into it.
Gentlemen, we're running out of time, so we got to get on to climate change, please. You
Oh,
both have
God.
different visions on climate change. President Trump, you say that environmental regulations have hurt jobs in the energy sector. Vice President Biden, you have said you see addressing climate change as an opportunity to create new jobs. For each of you, how would you both combat climate change and support job growth at the same time? Starting with you, President Trump, you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air. We have the best, lowest number in carbon emissions, which is a big standard that I notice Obama goes with all the time. Not Joe. I haven't heard Joe use the term because I'm not sure he knows what it represents or means, but I have heard Obama use it. And we have the best carbon emission numbers that we've had in 35 years under this administration. We are working so well with industry, but here's what we can't do. Look at China, how filthy it is. Look at Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy. The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord. It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally. We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the best carbon emission standards that we've seen in many, many years.
Vice President
And we
Biden.
haven't destroyed our industries.
Vice President Biden, 2 minutes to you, uninterrupted.
Climate change and climate warming, the global warming, is an existential threat to humanity. We have a moral obligation to deal with it. All the leading scientists in the world, we don't have much time. We're going to pass the point of no return within the next 8 to 10 years. 4 more years of this man eliminating all the regulations that were put in by us to clean up the climate, to limit emissions will put us in a position where we're going to be in real trouble. Here's where we have a great opportunity. I was able to get both all the environmental organizations as well as labor, the people worried about jobs, to support my climate plan, because what it does, it will create millions of new good paying jobs. We're going to invest in, for example, 50,000
He's struggling.
stations on our highways so that we can own the electric car market in the future. In the meantime, China is doing that. We're going to be in a position where we're going to see to it that we're going to take 4 million existing buildings and 2 million existing homes.
We're all going to die. Yep. Tomorrow.
Hundreds of millions of barrels of
Yesterday.
process and creating
yesterday.
We're already dead. And by the way, the whole idea of what this is all going to do, it's going to create millions of jobs, and it's going to clean the environment. Our health and our jobs are at stake. That's what's happening. And what right now, by the way, Wall Street firms indicated that my plan will in fact create 18.6 million jobs, 7 million more than his. This is from Wall Street, and $1 trillion.
Damn you, man.
Growth.
I need some of them.
It does. Not on climate, just on the economy.
President Trump, here
came out and said very strongly, $6,500 will be taken away from families under his plan, that his plan is an economic disaster. If you look at what he wants to do, if you look at his plan, his environmental plan, you know who developed it? AOC +3.
There you go.
Nothing about the climate. I mean, she's got a good line of stuff, but she knows nothing about the climate. And they're all hopping through hoops for AOC +3. Look, their real plan costs $100 trillion. If we had the best year in the history of our country for 100 years, we would not even come close to a number like that. When he says buildings, they want to take buildings down because they want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing. This is the craziest plan that anybody has ever seen. And this wasn't done by smart people. This wasn't done by anybody. Frankly, I don't even know how it could be good politically. They want to spend $100 trillion. That's their real number. He's trying to say it was 6. It's $100 trillion. They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows. I mean, and many other things.
Okay.
And many other things.
Let me have the Vice President
It
respond,
is
and we're running out of
crazy.
time, and we have a lot more
It'll
questions to
destroy our
get to.
country.
So let's hear from the Vice President. I have a number more questions.
I don't know where he comes from. I don't know where he comes up with these numbers. $100 trillion.
Did he say Queens?
A break.
Yeah.
This
Is that Queens?
For every major
Somebody said Queens.
group and every labor group. Labor, because they know the future of lives.
Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there.
Able to breathe, and they know they're good
You
jobs.
need to breathe.
And by the way, the fastest growing industry in
He's
America
at Queens.
is the electric, solar energy and wind.
Write them down.
Wind causes cancer, windmills. It's the fastest growing jobs, and they pay good prevailing
Windmills
wages.
cause cancer.
$50 an hour. We can grow and we can be cleaner if we go the route I'm proposing.
President Trump,
Excuse me.
please
We are
respond, and then I have
We
to
are
follow.
energy independent for the first time.
There you go.
We don't need all of these countries that we had to fight war over because we needed their energy. We are energy independent. I know more about wind than you do. It's extremely expensive, kills all the birds. It's very intermittent. It's got a lot of problems. And they happen to make the windmills in both Germany and China. And the fumes coming up, if you're a believer in carbon emission, the fumes coming up to make these massive windmills is more than anything that we're talking about with natural gas, which is very clean. One other thing.
Find me a
Solar.
scientist that said that.
I love solar, but solar doesn't quite have it yet. It's not powerful yet to really run our big, beautiful factories that we need to compete with the world. So it's all a pipe dream. But you know what we'll do? We're going to have the greatest economy in the world. But if you want to kill the economy, get rid of your oil industry. You want to, and what about fracking?
All right, let me allow Vice President
I
Biden to
have
respond.
never said I oppose fracking.
You said it.
Show the tape. Put it on your website. Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is, he's flat lying.
Would you rule out banning fracking?
I do rule out banning fracking because the answer we need other industries to get to ultimately a complete zero emissions by 2025. What I will do with fracking over time is make sure that we can capture the emissions from the fracking, capture the emissions from gas. We can do that, and we can do that by investing money and doing it. But it's a transition to that.
I have one more question in this pod, and then we
Excuse me, he was against fracking. He said it. I will show that to you tomorrow. I am against fracking. Until he got the nomination, went to Pennsylvania, then he said, but you know what, Pennsylvania? He'll be against it very soon because his party is totally against
fracking on federal land. I said no fracking and oil on federal
Let
land.
me ask this final question in this section, and then I want to move on to our final section. President Trump, people of color are much more likely to live near oil refineries and chemical plants. In Texas, there are families who worry the plants near them are making them sick. Your administration has rolled back regulations on these kinds of facilities. Why should these families give you another 4 years in office?
The families that we're talking about are employed heavily, and they're making a lot of money, more money than they've ever made. If you look at the kind of numbers that we produce for Hispanic, for Black, for Asian, it's 9 times greater the percentage gain than it was under, in 3 years, than it was under 8 years of the 2 of them, to put it nicely. 9 times more. Now, somebody lives, I have not heard the numbers or the statistics that you're saying, but they're making a tremendous amount of money economically. We saved it. And I saved it again a number of months ago when oil was crashing because of the pandemic. We saved it. We got, say what you want about relationship, we got Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Russia to cut back, way back. We saved our oil industry, and now it's very vibrant again.
All right.
And everybody has very inexpensive gasoline. Remember
Vice President Biden, your response, and then we're going to have a final question for both of you.
My response is that those people live on what they call fence lines. She doesn't understand this. They live near chemical plants that in fact pollute, chemical plants and oil plants and refineries that pollute. I used to live near that when I was growing up in Claymont, Delaware. And all the more oil.
I thought you said Scranton.
In the Delaware River than there is any place, including in Houston at the time. When my mom get in the car and when there was first frost to drive me to school,
It's a staged question.
Look in the window. That's why so many people in my state were dying and getting cancer. The fact is, those frontline communities, it doesn't matter what you're paying, and it matters how you keep them safe. What do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions the pollutants coming out of those fence line communities.
Okay, I have one final
Would you
question.
close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close down the oil
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I would
that's
transition. That is a big statement. Because I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil
He just lost.
But that's a big statement. Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. Over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. You won't give federal subsidies to the gas, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do
All right.
to solar and wind.
We have
That's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because
We have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10
Wow.
seconds, and then I have to get to the final question. Vice President Biden.
He takes everything out of context, but the point is, look, we have to move toward a net zero emissions. The first place to do that by the year 2035 is in energy production. By 2050, totally.
All right. One
Is he
final
gonna get
question
China
for
to
both
do
of
it?
you. No, we're finished with
Is
this.
he
We
going
have
to
to
get
move on
China
to
to
our
do it?
final question. We
No,
have to
I'm
move
going
on
to
to our final
rejoin Paris
question.
Accord and make China abide by what they agreed to.
All right,
That'll
this
cost you
is
$3
about
million.
leadership, gentlemen. And this first question does go to you, President Trump. Imagine this is your inauguration day. What will you say in your address to Americans who did not vote for you? You'll each have 1 minute, starting with you, Mr.
We have to make a country totally successful as it was prior to the plague coming in from China. Now we're rebuilding it and we're doing record numbers, 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time, etc. But I will tell you, go back. Before the plague came in, just before, I was getting calls from people that were not normally people that would call me. They wanted to get together. We had the best Black unemployment numbers in the history of our country. Hispanic, women, Asian, People with diplomas, with no diplomas, MIT graduates, #1 in the class, everybody had the best numbers. And you know what? The other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify. Success is going to bring us together. We are on the road to success, but I'm cutting taxes, and he wants to raise everybody's taxes, and he wants to put new regulations on everything. He will kill it. If he gets in, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401ks will go to hell, and it'll be a very, very sad day for this country.
All right. Vice President Biden, same question.
1 minute.
You say during your inaugural address to Americans who did not vote for you.
I will say, I'm an American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me. And I'm going to make sure that you're represented. I'm going to give you hope.
Politician answer.
We're going to choose science over fiction. We're going to choose hope over fear. We're going to choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. We can grow this economy. We can deal with the systemic racism. And at the same time, we can make sure that our economy is being run and moved and motivated by clean energy, creating millions of new jobs.
Wow.
In fact, that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to say, as I said at the beginning, what is on the ballot here is the character of this country. Decency, honor, respect, treating people with dignity, making sure that everyone has an even chance. And I'm going to make sure you get that. You haven't been getting it the last 4 years.
All right. I want to thank you both for a very robust hour and a half, a fantastic debate. Really appreciate it. President Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden, thank you to Belmont University for hosting us tonight. And most importantly, thank you to those watching tonight. Election Day is November 3rd. Don't forget to vote.
Don't forget.
There you have it, second and final debate of this
All right.
Donald Trump, Joe Biden, 2
All right.
minute in their 70.
I gotta say, the obvious is this was a great debate.
Yeah.
She did well.
This was a solid debate. And President Trump did very well tonight.
He got to admit to Biden.
I like the pause button.
I love the mute
sorry.
button. The mute button was
the mute. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'll tell you what, that was divine intervention to get that mute button.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. But did you see how Trump got Biden to say that he's against the oil industry?
Sure did.
Texas is now for Trump.
Oklahoma
Pennsylvania now for Trump.
And not only did he get it, he played on it. He's like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
I'll be playing that video tomorrow, by the way. By the way,
he took the bait.
I got that on replay.
Good.
He was like, woo! Okay.
Wow.
That's some news. Hear that, Pennsylvania? Hear that, whatever. Oklahoma, hear that? Okay.
Yeah, that I'm on Twitter just looking. People are just buzzing about Trump. I mean, they know he won this debate. He was cool, he was calm, he was collected. He overtalked a little bit, but it was the right amount. You know what I mean? It wasn't too much, it wasn't too little. Biden started to fall apart.
I have to say, both of them, listen to me now, both of them did well.
Yeah. Oh, well.
And the reason why I say both of them did well, because you, the American people, found out the distinct differences between both.
That's true.
Right. You had two completely opposite men up there. You had a 47-year veteran and a 40-month veteran. And I just went on what is trending on Google on the Twitters is Joe Biden, and I clicked show me the tweets. The tweets are, did Joe Biden seriously say he's going to get rid of the entire oil industry?
Yeah,
like the fact that he's trending #1 and it is all negative.
Yeah. Yeah, and people saying about how he said that Lincoln was a racist. That was a little.
He called Trump Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln over here. Dude, that was.
And I think it showed that 4% that wasn't decided yet, how much he actually does break down and disconnect. And he was looking at his watch. He was getting tired. But honestly, what scared me the most was just to see how clueless Joe really is and how tired he does get and how he just really doesn't know anymore.
And
he can't run a country.
For those of
I'm
you
not.
listening, yeah.
I'm not. I'm
Total
scared.
sympathy.
I mean, he
Yeah.
cannot run a country. I can't imagine him running this country and having to talk to other countries that hate us, that want to kill us, that want to make deals with us, good and bad. He's tired.
And
He's worn out.
Right, and it's not joking. He's 77, going to be 78, second stage dementia. He's got some mental issues that really need to be addressed right now. And for him to take the 3 a.m. call, I'm worried that he can't take the 11 a.m. call.
No.
Yeah, good to go. It's good.
Well, I just think that we saw a lot tonight. We finally got a lot of answers, you know, shutting down the oil industry. The fact that he's really on board with AOC +3. These are all
and the
scary
fact
things.
that was the last, guys, the last thing on people's minds is what's now trending #1 on Twitter. Joe
Right.
Biden shutting down the oil industry.
And you know, it's interesting that Trump did
I don't see
briefly
that.
bring up Hunter. He did bring up Hunter, but it wasn't what everybody assumed it was going to be. It was just little bits and pieces, and I thought that he did it with class. I did. I thought that he did it just enough to pique everyone's interest who hasn't heard about this, and I think that that was important. And I thought that it was great that Trump also took advantage of Joe and what he did with that crime bill. I
Yes.
think that needed to be talked about because no mainstream media wants to talk about that.
You know what, I have to say, President Trump tonight was President Trump. And I'm not talking about the in-your-face gotcha tweet stuff. He was presidential Trump tonight. Okay, you understand? He was presidential. He waited his turn. He did what he had to do. He got his points across. And he did what we said, or we hoped that he would do.
Yes.
He waited until Joe brought in Russia.
Yeah.
And then
sure did.
he said, and he brought it, but he did it under control.
Right.
He pulled back, and then he brought it again. He pulled back. He kind of slightly brought it a little bit later, but he stuck to the throughout the night. For the most part, he stuck to the subject of what Chris. Look, and Kristen, let me tell you something. You surprised me, girl.
Yep.
Yeah, she has some good questions too. She called Biden out on a couple things.
She those are not softballs or snowballs to Joe Biden.
I was not mad.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think she knew that if she acted like the other moderators that she would have been buried and she didn't want that? And she knows that Trump could possibly win this, so she's trying to be more fair because she didn't want to die on that hill and ruin her young career.
Right. Whether he won or lost, though, she didn't want it to be hinged on her and her career later on. Because he could lose and her career will bud.
Goes down the toilet. Right. She did not want to die on that hill, like what Wayne was saying.
I tell you something else about Kristen Walker. Kristen Walker has taken a huge step to move above Chris Wallace and the rest of those people.
Yes, she has.
If now she can be as biased as she wants to on MSNBC, but if she remains what she did tonight, if she remains like this, there's more presidential moderator jobs in her future.
Now think about what you just shame to Megyn Kelly, Kristen Wallace. She put them all to shame.
And that's what I just want to say. Now think about Chris Wallace and his history with the media and everything that he prides himself on, and he stooped that low.
Right.
And here she is, just young, and she knew what to do. Right. That is important because she's seeing career suicide with those other three.
Right.
Savannah, Steve Scully, Chris Wallace. She's not going to go down with them. Smart.
No, that was very solid.
Look,
very, very solid.
She did one of the best moderator jobs that I've seen in years.
Rick Taylor said, how are you guys not picking up that she was cutting off Trump to save Joe? How do you not see that? She didn't save Joe ever. Joe lost the debate. She didn't save him. So you think, Rick, that Joe won the debate? No way.
Well, if you thought that she cut Trump off, it was because the time was up with Joe.
Right.
She was moving on. Trump wanted to add more, which it was up to her or not. I don't know how that plays out. And she did. Okay, 10 seconds. All right, 10 seconds.
Yep.
And he took 10, and they moved on. So
she tried to stay as close as she could to that clock.
Right.
The only thing I thought
With
she did
respect.
Right.
No.
Because she didn't have to do a follow up. She didn't have to do that. She could have stayed, but she said, okay, all right, fine. I give you 10 seconds. All right, let's go to the next one. All right.
Right, yeah.
You know.
I did it to him.
I
I did
will
it to him.
tell
I
you
did
though,
it to him.
she wasn't perfect because she messed up and was like, well, Trump, you're president. Well, it has to go through Congress. Remember that when she was
Right.
well,
Like, come on, sister.
Like,
Really?
you know that it has to go through Congress. So she either she's just not educated on it, which she should be if she's going to talk politics, but she screwed up there. And there was another time where she gave Joe an extra 10 seconds where she shouldn't have. But other than that, it went well. Trump won it. He admitted that he wants to shut down oil. He admitted, and he denied fracking.
Yeah, fracking.
It was getting fracking.
Put it
He
on
lied.
the website. Oh, it'll be there tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
literally.
they ain't gonna wait for tomorrow.
Nope.
Yeah. No. Literally, Trump went in the back, and that's what he is.
There
tweeting
are
out right now.
so many
Mark my
videos
words.
of him saying that he wants to end fracking. It's we all know this.
Yeah.
Look. I still the funniest moment is when Joe didn't know what he wanted to say. He was like, "I don't even know where this guy come from," and you heard President Trump say, "Queen."
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. Did he just say Queen?
I don't even know where this guy's from.
That had to be the funniest. That had to be the funniest one. That was funny.
And I'll take your advice, Rick. I'm gonna go back and watch it again because Rick does listen to us and he's a kind person. I'm gonna go back in and I always rewatch the debate for the audience so that way I can come back on Monday and talk about it more. So I'll rewatch it again and I'll look for what you're saying. Thank you, Rick. I will do that because I'm open to both sides.
Yeah, I know that she did interrupt him, but she also interrupted Joe. And I would think, Rick, maybe you should go back and watch it again and see how she interrupted Joe too. She interrupted both of them.
Yeah, I was not offended either way.
But she didn't make herself the story.
Right.
No, she didn't.
Tonight, what you got was two presidential candidates. You know what one wants to do for the country, and the other one wants to shut down oil. So
And you know what I like the best about it? She didn't interrupt their answer and say, yeah, but didn't you remember how Chris Wallace would say, yeah,
I was
but
waiting for that.
There was no gotcha. She let them answer the questions and then she stayed out of it. She asked the questions, stayed out of it. And if she wanted to bring up something else, she would wait till you were done talking and say, now on that subject, this and this and this. She didn't do a Chris Wallace.
As a
that
smart individual, she probably watched Chris Wallace. And she probably watched
she had to. Yeah,
she probably saw, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is Chris Wallace versus Trump. And Trump called him out. Oh, I do not want to be that moderator to where the candidate calls me out that we're debating. Because that's not, we talked about this all week. That's not the moderator's job to debate.
And audience, I really want you to think about this next statement I'm going to make. Joe stayed in the basement for the past 5 days. Yeah. And this is what we got.
This is what you got. This is what you got.
This is what you got for 5 days. He stayed in to prepare. Wouldn't answer any questions. 5 days to prepare. You have people that take MCATs to become doctors that prepare in less time. And this is what he gave us?
And let me ask you, that last question was one of the last questions. It was a staged question. He was out of gas. It was no much left.
It sounded like a PSA.
And then and then she threw that out there and he's like, oh, you know, a little bit. I'm like, oh, come on, man. I know they fed that to you. That was a staged question because Trump's question was just a general, hey, I'm president.
5 days.
It works that way.
5 days to prepare. And that is the most disappointing thing. That's what fears me the most about Biden. 5 days. And this is what you come up with. Can you imagine being a president with that?
And you've been doing this for 47 years, 8 years as VP. What? How are you not sharper than attack when it comes to this?
Mm-hmm. And Obama came out and tried to help him on Thursday night, was talking in a megaphone to like 10 people on a street corner. He stood up on top of a platform and talked to, I don't know, a couple hundred people. It was absolutely pathetic. You could tell that Yeah, Obama did this Thursday night in
the street.
Philadelphia. Yeah, it was pathetic. You could tell that he was almost forced to do it.
There was an article that said Obama goes to Philadelphia to stump for Biden. I'm like, there you go again. I didn't know he took to the street with a megaphone.
Yeah, well, a bullhorn, yeah.
A bullhorn.
I'm sorry, yeah.
You mean they didn't have a rally and a crowd?
No, hold on.
They did. It was just a different place. There wasn't a lot of people.
I mean, and well, they it was mostly in cars too. You know, like well, we did cars last week. We did cars last week in Michigan.
We didn't.
Yeah, but we did.
I mean, but if you put this all together, Obama had maybe 500 people there, and then he's standing out on the street corner with no one. Everyone's looking bored. But Biden Harris or papers are flowing in the wind everywhere. It was so disorganized. You have him preparing then Joe tonight for 5 days in the basement. He comes out stuttering and stammering halfway through, checking his watch, saying he's going to shut down the oil industry. He can't defend his crime bill. It was huge. It was huge. I really think that.
And then flat out lied about fracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, it's going to be beat the cheat at this point. If you ask me, audience, some people were saying, who do you think's got the election now? It's Trump.
Right.
If you base it off tonight. If you base it off only tonight.
Look, and actually, honestly, we still got to think about a couple other things. But on election night, we already know who's going to win. I mean, election night, President Trump is going to win. This is the oil.
Would he close down the oil industry? Would you close down the oil industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement because I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal. But
that's
you
a
can't
big
do
statement.
That. Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry. I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas. To solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do give it to solar and wind.
We
and
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because
We have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry. Okay. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you.
I don't know where he comes from. I don't know where he comes up with these numbers. 100 trillion.
That oil industry thing sounds more damning now than when I heard him say it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's going to be on loop. That's going to be on loop.
When he said it, the only thing I could think of was his people were like, holy Jesus.
Oh yeah, they were jumping off bridges.
You weren't supposed to say that.
Obama was going, don't forget. Yeah, what does Obama always say? Don't underestimate Joe's ability to F things up. Well, there you have it.
Even Obama was probably sitting in. What did he just say?
Yeah. I mean, Joe looked very, and again, let's go back to his age and that he's supposed to be running the greatest country on earth. Well, look how weak he looked. Don't you think? He looked frail. He looked weak. He didn't look like a big guy, did he? He was confused. He was tired. 2 hours on a stage. How are you going to run a country?
And it's not to make jokes. We're not making jokes.
No.
We're not pointing out
This is
things.
scary.
We're just saying that this individual lacks the capabilities and the control of his faculties to do what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Would you hire him as a bus driver?
I wouldn't hire him for anything.
With the kids on it? No.
Yeah, with the kids.
Especially not with kids on it.
No, but like he's in a cage, so he can't touch the kids.
Oh, I liked how Trump said, "Who made the cages, Joe?"
Right.
I like
Who
that
made
too.
the cages?
Who made the cages?
Whose cages are those? That was good.
And you can tell, Joe hit that wall. He's like, that's not true. That's not. Well, no, it is true. The cages were made under the Obama administration, and yes, Trump did carry on the Obama administration policy, and then he stopped it. And the same thing, they were talking about something else too. That catch and release. Trump stopped that too. Biden you know what catch and release is, and you know that the people weren't showing back up for those court cases, and you lied about it.
Right.
You lied about it because everybody knows that once the people got put, whether y'all believe it or not, most of these illegals were put into minority communities throughout the country, and they never showed back. They never went back down to Texas, or they never went to the court
until they got arrested again for rape
Right.
and murder.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
when they reported, they came back.
Right.
Yeah, Joe messed up on that one too. I was waiting for my wow moment from both of them, and Joe didn't give that to me. I went into it as an undecided voter for pretend. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to look at it from both sides as an undecided voter. And what I got from it was I was afraid of Joe's responses. If I was an undecided voter in Texas, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, I was worried about, the oil issues. If I was a minority, I was worried about his prior statements. I was worried about his crime bill and that he hadn't changed anything in the 8 years that him and Obama were in. Why he had a platform. He had the biggest platform on earth and he didn't do anything. And what I took from it out of the most was, again, I thought of it as just an outsider that was undecided, was Joe really did sound like a fake politician. Like he was just up there reading off of, Politicians for Dummies. They made a book called Politicians for Dummies. He literally just studied the book, read word from word out. I mean, that's what I got from it.
And Trump said so much as in that is saying, Joe, you've been saying this for 47 year Guys, look, this is what they all say. All these politicians say. And when I say all of them, I'm going across the board. So the lady that called us from Texas that's angry about the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, I'm speaking directly to you. And I'm with you, and I'm yelling at the Republicans and the Democrats and these career politicians who don't give a flying flip about none of us.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he sounded like, Brian. You're exactly right. It was fake. It was rehearsed.
Right. Go listen to Mitch McConnell. Go listen to Mitch McConnell give a speech for his reelection right now, and you'd be like, oh, my God, this is worse than Biden. This is worse than Biden. Yeah.
And I liked how he said, Joe, you're the reason I'm on the stage.
Right.
I ran because of you and Obama.
Yeah.
You're right.
And I thought that was important.
I wouldn't be here.
Because it was chilling. Whenever Joe was up there speaking, I felt like I was just listening to Obama again. Just preaching to us, lecturing us, making us feel dumb, making us feel like we're not worthy. Just a big politician reading out the Politician for Dummies books again.
And I've said on this show that President Trump is the only president in U.S. history that can campaign. Now, he hasn't, but tonight he did. He's the only presidential candidate that can campaign as an outsider to D.C. and the media. He's the only president that can do that, and he did it tonight because he kept talking about the politicians, and that's why the American people voted for me. But he kept bringing up how politicians have hurt American people, and where he sounded like an outsider at times during the debate. He sounded like an outsider, so that's why I said he's only
He was relatable. He was relatable to the American people that are sitting at home right now. He was relatable. Joe was not. I was standoffish with him. I was very leery of him because he just sounded like a used car salesman. Honestly, like a crooked used car salesman. Because I know there's some good used car salesmen out there. But, it just was this like fake kind of, hey, I'm going to give you this bonus and I'm going to do this for you. No, Joe. You're just another politician.
Right. From 18 to 88, you're sitting at home right now, whether you're broke, just under broke, just over broke, whether you're making it big, you're hitting it hard because you're into real estate right now, wherever your life is right now, Donald Trump spoke to you and said, you reelect me and you're going to make the money. You're going to get the job back. The
401k ones will go up.
The 401ks are going up now as we speak. The house is going to come back. The wife is coming. It's all coming back because of the policies we made prior, what we did prior to China's virus. Prior to that, we're going to do that again, and it's going to happen again.
And I'll tell you what I also didn't like. I appreciate that Trump is optimistic that the virus will go away, that there's a vaccine on the way. And then you have Joe creating fear saying it's going to be a dark winter. You know what? Give us our Christmas. We want to spend it with the families. We want to have our Thanksgiving.
No.
Don't need you and Kamala to tell us it's going to be a dark winter or else.
Yeah, they're already talking about out in California that you can have no not more than 4 or 5 people at the dinner table for Thanksgiving. So
yeah, you all out there in California, y'all the turkeys for Thanksgiving. Last thoughts. Jump over to WD Show, patreon.com/WD Show. Check it out, guys. We do this for you because we feel that it needs to be done. There's no other show that I've ever seen. And Wayne, you know this. Leah, you've been in terrestrial. I've been doing this for a long time. There's no other show that I've ever seen that gives you the facts, the figures, the data, the real information, our opinions, our thoughts on the whole situation. We're not here to lie to you. Just know it doesn't benefit us.
And we also know how to have a good time. We can be serious, but we can also have a good time because right now you need to laugh a little bit too.
And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, we're not trying to take your money.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I really want to put that out there. We're not trying to take your money. We're not trying, believe me, we're not trying to get rich either. The thing is, we do need to pay for these platforms and we do need to pay for, I mean, I don't know how many times that I keep talking about my co-hosts, but my co-hosts also have regular jobs. But guess what? They still take the time out to come on here and we do a show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We even do an extra show on Friday for Central TV. We do this because we want to help. Okay.
Right.
But we're not rich either. Okay.
And I'll say, I don't know how they feel about me, but I will say these two right here, they sacrifice hours a day to study what they're talking about. They're all in. There's some days where I don't even know if Wayne sleeps because he's doing so much for you. I see it. It's 24/7 and it's a labor of love.
I look at the wall.
But I can tell you these two, like I said, I don't know what they'll tell you about me. I try to be the same as them, but it's unbelievable the sacrifice that they are doing to try to put out the truth and to try to put out real news. And if you could see our private chats, we'll go back and forth and we will figure out what the truth is, what is real. And hey, yes, sometimes it can get heated. Sometimes we laugh. Sometimes we cry. But in the end, we're fighting for the facts for you.
Brian cries.
Brian cries.
No, I'm
saying, no, just
Leah's for real. We do. I mean, it's like we really do.
But
have knockout dragouts on the text.
But it's healthy. We're trying to get out the truth. We want to get a good temperature check on where we stand in America. And, you know, Wayne's in a different area. I'm in a different area. Brian's in a different area. So it's 3 different point of views from 3 different perspectives.
Right.
And in order to figure out where the common ground is, we've got to talk like that. And it's a 24-hour job. So we appreciate it. If you can go to patreon.com/WD show and whatever support you can give is appreciated because we're not going to stop for you. We're going to keep on going until we can't go anymore.
Mary says Wayne looks tired. Mary, my mom said
he don't sleep.
My mom said that you know what? You look sleepy sometimes. She said, I check in on you sometimes. You look sleepy.
Sometimes I go lecturing people and I'll say, what are you doing? Oh, staring at the walls. And he's being sarcastic. That means he's working extra hard. I'm like, can you lay down? Will you get some sleep? Yeah, okay. And then I still see him out on Twitter. I still seen him doing other things. I'm like, if I got to drive, get him to go. I'll tell you.
So in between,
Wayne's a little stubborn.
In between getting up for my day job at 6 a.m. and then coming home and trying to dig these holes and finish this fence for mama, and then at the same time between pouring concrete and going at Wayne.
Yeah, I know, right?
I gotta get showered. I gotta hurry. I gotta get showered, man. This thing's going on. Now we're at 11. And I know the kids watch tonight too, so I want to get their take on what they thought.
And I'm trying to homeschool a child that is 7 years old all day long, plus make sure I catch up with the news and talk to these boys. Because like I said, I got to try to keep up with them. It's,
I mean, you know, and sometimes I forget that they are working. So I'll keep on going and going and going. And when I don't see Brian for a long time, I'm like, yeah, he's pissed off now. He don't want, he's not even thinking that he's working. I'm like, yeah, he's pissed off. He don't want to talk no more.
No.
I got it.
Sometimes I'll get a question mark. Hey, Leah, where are you? I'm trying to sleep.
Yep.
It's 2 a.m.
Yep.
I need a little bit of sleep.
I'd be like,
Leah, I got a question. I'm sleeping.
What you doing, painting? All right, so you know, I want to thank John and Sandra and Greta, because you know y'all believed in us tonight. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And I mean the smallest helps, but you know we really do want to build our Patreon community. We have 121 Patreons right now, and we're trying to reach our first 500. We've been trying to reach 500 Patreons for about 4 or 5 months now. We should be able to do it. It's just that
we're being suppressed, honestly.
Not only are we being suppressed, it's that some people just like to hear different brands of news and whatnot. Listen, we try to give you the full gambit. I know we're not funny all the time. No, we're not cursing all the time. No, we're not trying to. I mean, none of us are in the entertainment business, but we are trying to help. We are trying to help this country and trying to help you understand what's going on out there. And we can only continue to do it with your prayers and your contributions. Okay. So with that said, any last thoughts before we leave?
Yeah, Joe Biden just tweeted out, folks, I just stepped off the debate stage and I've never been more fired up and ready to win this election. Oh, you couldn't tell it on the stage.
Yeah.
Unless they just gave you a little hit of something to get you fired up, but no.
Yeah. Yeah. That.
You know what that tweet tells me? He knows he lost the debate. Probably. He's trying to make up for collateral damage. Sorry, Joe. Loser.
I am praying for each and every one of you for your health and your wealth. May that God bless you with more than enough. And the next 4 years of Donald J. Trump. God bless America.
Amen.
All right. With that said, and whether y'all believe it or not, we still got some work to do. And that's why we didn't have a show earlier today. So we will be talking to real quick. I don't want to miss this. John earlier tonight gave $25.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
But then John just gave $100.
Bam! Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
God bless you, John.
And Nicole just became a $40 Patreon member. So
thank you.
You know, believe me,
you.
thank you for doing this for us tonight. All right. With that said, we got to go, but we will see you on Monday.
12 o'clock.
We will see you on Monday, 12 o'clock. And if you have any questions, you can always download the app, right, y'all?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Wayne Dupree podcast. Just go, type it in. You'll pull it up. It downloads in just a few quick seconds. And from there, you can watch live shows. You can watch the shows that were on prior. Whenever we're taking calls, you can call directly from the app while you're watching. You can also message us as well. And you can see your weather and traffic. It's free, thanks to our wonderful Patreon contributors. That's what it'll look like whenever you go to it. So make sure you do that as well. And we love you, audience.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And thank you, Eric. Thank you so much. Nicole just became a $40 Patreon member. Patreon.com/.
God bless you, Nicole.
Logo. Really? Let me put that up before we roll out of here.
Superheroes.
Y'all's donations helped us do this. So there we go.
There we are.
Actually,
I love it.
Let's see. She's over here. And I'm in the she's over.
No, I'm over there.
Oh, you got to flip. There you go.
There we go. Yeah. There you go. So there you go.
I don't have my red tank on. Sorry.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. God bless.
God bless.